All right, here we go. The mighty return of Charlemagne.
Vlad.
Back on Vlad TV.
What's up, my brother? How are you, man?
I'm good, man. You're my original repeat guest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking about that the other day when you did Breakfast Club. I'm like, damn, how long have I been doing Vlad? Since like 09?
Yeah, since pretty much the beginning.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
08, 09.
That's pretty much when we started. I mean, I think like Jamar was probably my second repeat guest, but you were my first.
Yeah, because I remember coming here today. I got fired from radio in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so before the Breakfast Club,
Yep.
you were doing Vlad TV.
Absolutely.
Before Wendy Williams, I was featuring you on mixtapes.
Yes, before Wendy Williams, you definitely was putting me on the beef mixtapes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how far it is we go back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is why, like, people like always wonder like the falling out and everything else like that. That was based on some comments you made about me on the Joe Budden show. And I remember it really hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, this wasn't just professional. It was like we were actually friends. We had celebrated a birthday together. I think when
A few times.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah, man.
That's so far I was thinking about. I was thinking about that today too. I'm like, damn, yo, me and Vlad used to do birthday parties together. Now I don't even like to go outside.
We've gotten too famous, man.
No, those were good times though. 'Cause like back then, that was like, I don't want to say the early stages of anything because it was like all of us were just getting our footing. But think about who used to be there. It used to be like Q from World Star, God bless the dead.
Yeah,
like,
R.I.P.
So like people like that used to be at our birthday party. And I was just thinking how much.
Q was at that birthday party.
Yeah,
You're right.
Because Q used to come to
right.
every birthday party we did. We used to come. I think we did. You and me did 2 of them together.
Yeah, I think so.
But when I first started Breakfast Club, I did like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it was me and Melody Iglesias because her birthday was in June. I think your birthday is the 27th? 28th. Mine's the 29th.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I think Q just used to pull up because he used to fuck with us.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to think like, man, Q not even with us. You're not even with us no more.
Take care of your health, man. You can't be that heavy.
Take care of your health.
You can't be that heavy and think you're going to be around. When I interview people like Dave Blunts or Faison.
Absolutely.
Like I talk to him about that on camera and off camera. Because, we've seen too many people gone. Imagine how big Pun would be right now if he survived.
Oh, man. Absolutely.
Be massive.
Absolutely.
Be absolutely massive.
Absolutely.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. And what's interesting, I didn't know about this until I actually started doing the research around it. Because you and Drake have always had a funny relationship.
And this platform has contributed to a lot of that.
Yes.
Funny relationship.
Yeah, last time we talked about one of the things you said was like, there's gay, there's straight, there's Drake.
Hilarious.
Yes, bars. What I didn't realize, and this sometimes happens in our, in our line of work, was that you actually ran into a couple security guards who said, and these guys used to be Drake security guards, and according to them, Drake had put a green light on you.
Absolutely.
That said that, he said that when they see you, to fuck you up, and he'll cover all the expenses and pay them and whatever else. This is true.
This is a fact. We was at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. I really cannot remember what year it was, but I know that these guys, they were doing security for G-Eazy at the time. I can't remember their names, but I remember how they looked, and they were like massive, like
monsters.
Oh man, I mean, if you trying to put on like a show, like those the guys that you want around you. You know what I mean? And they look like they get busy, look like they put in some work. And I remember, one of them just came up to me and we just started having a conversation. He told me, he was just like, man, you don't even know. Like, back in the day, it was a go for you. Like, if you, like we had, instructions, like when you see him, do whatever it is you got to do and don't worry about it. And I'm like, what? And then that's when they told me they used to, do security for Drake. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I've never been delusional. I'm not a delusional person. I'm not one of those people that gets in front of the camera or gets on the microphone and acts like, there's not a cost to everything that comes out of my mouth. Yeah. I think that we live in this era where people think free speech is free. It's not.
Yeah.
Every single word that comes out of your mouth, there's a cost to it. And you got to be willing to ask yourself, are you willing to pay that price?
Well, yeah. I mean, the speech is free, but the consequences are not.
Never. Like, you got to be held accountable.
You're paying it with the consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. Like, it's weird to me when I watch, like, folks that have the YouTube shows and, the podcasts, the streamers, whoever it is, and they really think that there's such thing as going too far or telling somebody how to react. Like, you have to know every single time you say something, there's going to be a consequence. That consequence isn't always violence. That consequence might be a lawsuit. You know, that consequence might be somebody reporting your page, getting your page taken out, whatever it is.
True.
That just lets you know that free speech is not free. There's a price to every word that comes out of your mouth.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got caught up with Drake over comments you made, on my show as well. We talked about this as well. Like when I was in New Orleans, like 2023, like Chubbs ran up on me, essentially over comments you made on my platform. He was basically saying like, that's on you too. Luckily, I had my Navy SEAL security stepping, in between, but it was looking like we were about to get surrounded.
Chubbs was about to crash something?
It wasn't just Chubbs. It was like there's a bunch of Dream Chasers dudes around, and this was back when Drake and Meek Mill were cool because Meek was there as well. And it was looking, like it was about to be a bad situation.
I don't like that though, and I don't like when people are upset at the platform.
Yes,
the platform had nothing to do with it. Like the person who went on the platform and said what they said, that's who your issue is with.
I was so pissed off over that because had it been more of a regular conversation, I would have pulled out my phone and said, look at how many Drake articles we've written about you that are positive. Like literally hundreds by that point. So you mean to tell me that we do hundreds of positive articles about you, but I got one guy that had a couple of jokes and now we got beef? Like seriously?
It would make more sense if he tried to press you and he said, stop putting Charlamagne on your platform. But to press you as if, your platform is the reason that,
right.
I was making the jokes, that's ridiculous. That's literally like running up on Angela Yee and Envy, which he kind of did though. Nah, he kind of did. We was in Houston. I wasn't there. This was years ago. And they was in Houston and he ran up on Angela Yee and Envy. I'm not gonna say it was a run up, but he came up with a bunch of guys and was like, where's the third musketeer at? That's literally what he said. Where's the third musketeer?
Yeah, well, you know what happened after they confronted me over that interview?
What?
I did more interviews with you. Talking about Drake.
Man, I used to give Drake hell.
I'm not backing down from this. Fuck all that.
I used to give Drake hell, man. And it's funny because it's just like, I've always liked when Drake raps. I've never liked when he sings. And I never liked the tough guy image, and he started doing the tough guy thing on his second album. Remember, it was the TB in the video with the hoodies on and the gloves, and I said that here. He looked like he had a crew with him that looked like they would just run up in H&M and steal everything, like a flash mob. And it's like, all of that, and it's like funny now because that's a lot of the stuff that Kendrick said about him all of these years later. That kind of stuck.
What's that Kendrick line? I like
Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he acts tough.
That one.
Ooh, off Euphoria. Ooh. Euphoria, one of the greatest diss records of all time. Yeah. I know Not Like Us, is the one that is the monster, massive hit everywhere. You're going to hear Not Like Us on Kids Bop CDs. But Euphoria, when you listen to Euphoria and you listen to every single bar in Euphoria, that is literally one of the greatest diss records of all time. And I got Not Like Us as my number one diss record of all time. Not necessarily because of the substance of it, just because of how massive and huge it was and the impact that it had, but Euphoria is absolutely one of the greatest diss records of all time.
I agree. It was like surgical.
Surgical, man.
Surgical the way Kendrick did it. Well, speaking of Not Like Us, and you talked about this whole situation already, but recently Drake actually included Rock Nation in his whole defamation lawsuit, with UMG, where I guess he's trying to tie in the whole Super Bowl performance with Kendrick and so forth. Now, what do you think overall of Drake losing a battle than suing?
I said he was going to do that. There's an old episode of Brilliant Idiots that people started, taking the clip from and running with it when he filed the lawsuit, and Andrew Schultz asked me, what is Drake's next move? I said, that motherfucker going to sue. He's going to sue. There's nobody that's going to allow you to call, they're not going to allow you to call them a pedophile and not take some sort of legal action.
Are you really surprised that a Jewish guy is suing?
No. No. I just hope he got Jewish lawyers too.
I'm sure he does.
But I'm not sure he does because I think a Jewish lawyer would be like, I don't know about this one. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know you got the bag, and he's like, this seems a little frivolous. But I knew that he was going to sue because there's nobody that's going to allow you to call them a pedophile like that and him not take some sort of legal action. But my problem with the whole thing is, man, you said that Kendrick beat his wife.
Yes.
You said that Kendrick's man, Dave Free, one of Kendrick's kids, is his kid.
Yep.
It's like, yo, you can't throw dirt on that man's name like that and then get mad at the dirt that individual threw. You know what I'm saying? Like, some things you just gotta eat. And I think in the name of hip hop, in the name of battling, in the name of, you and him feuding and both going to hell on each other, when they say, Michelle Obama said, when you go low, when they go low, you go high.
Yeah.
They both went to hell on each other. So it's like, if both of y'all going to hell on each other, it's like, come on, man, you gotta eat that. And Drake has prolonged this whole situation. Drake made the L he took to Kendrick Lamar way worse.
Capital L now.
Capital L now. Like, you lost the battle, and you keep it moving.
You're still a superstar.
You're a superstar.
You still, sell out shows. Your next album is gonna get streamed to hell. Come on.
Like, but you made it worse by just simply coming out there and suing. Like, yo, you can't get over losing in a rap battle that much that you had to sue. And by the way, Drake is the one who stopped the battle. Drake stopped the battle. Drake waved the white flag with that Hard Part 6 bullshit.
Oh, that was horrible.
It was horrible because you know what happened? Kendrick beat him to the punch. I'll never forget it, man. My man Glasses Malone, this was on the Saturday that Not Like Us happened. Me and Glasses was talking. I think it was me, Glasses, and DJ Head. Glasses was like, yeah, I love the battle, man, but he said, I'm kind of over it because no hits have come from it yet. That's what Glasses said. Glasses said no hits have come from it yet. He was like, yo, where's the hit record? Because I always thought that was the angle Drake was going to take. I thought Kendrick was going to out-rap Drake.
Yeah.
And I thought that Drake was just going to come with that bop.
Back-to-back.
Like a back-to-back that everybody's fucking with. But Kendrick beat him to the punch. And it was that, I'll never forget, because Glasses said it that Saturday, and literally by Saturday afternoon, Not Like Us dropped. And, the West Coast went crazy,
Right. What was the Kendrick record? What was the Kendrick diss record that he did that switched the beat 3 times?
That was Euphoria.
No.
Euphoria switched the beat.
No. It was the Drake song. Remember
Drake song.
The video with the car getting crushed?
Oh, Drake. That was Drake Family Matters.
Family Matters.
Yeah.
Like, musically, that was my favorite song of the battle. Because I just liked the way that beat was switching up, the way he was flowing on the beat. Like, I was listening to that over and over again. I understand that Not Like Us was a way bigger song, but musically, that was my favorite moment of the battle.
I felt like that for a minute.
Yeah.
I felt like that for a second until I just kept listening to Euphoria. Not like to tell Euphoria. Like, cause I liked Euphoria when I first heard it. And I was like, okay, that was good. But Euphoria really grew on me, man. And when you saw him perform it at the Pop Out, when that was the first song he did, when he was kneeling down, and oh my God, man, that was fantastic. But yeah, Drake just prolonged this whole shit. It's like Drake beat himself up. It's like Kendrick beat him up, and then it's just like he got up and was delirious and saw a mirror. No, Kendrick beat him up, and then he got up, and when he got up, the first thing he saw was a mirror. He's like, I got jumped, and he started swinging at the mirror, hitting on himself, bloody in his own hands, then wiping the blood on his face, and then looking at the mirror again like, oh, they still jumping me, Chuck, where you at? It's like, yo, Drake, you doing this to yourself. Kendrick has moved on.
Oh, man. Well, your man, Andrew Schultz. I mean, he got called out on a Kendrick record, and his response was raping Kendrick.
Damn.
Right? I mean, technically, he joked about raping Kendrick.
The key word is joked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, people gonna always be like, yo, Charlamagne gonna cape for his friends. Yes, I am. Wow. Because me and my guys, we gonna have our conversations that we have, amongst each other. And sometimes we might have them on the podcast, but I'm a person that truly feels like, and as I said earlier, I may not agree with what you said, but I agree with your right to say it. And when you're a comedian, comedians are allowed to make jokes. Now, whether the joke's funny or not, that's up for interpretation, right? Like everything is subjective. But he said something, and he got to stand on that. So whatever comes with him saying that, the backlash that he received, whatever it was, Andrew Schultz, has to own that. But my thing is like, yo, Kendrick said what he said on the record. That's how Andrew, chose to respond. I don't know what people expect me to do about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Andrew's
I thought
a
it was
grown
funny.
man.
And it wasn't on Brilliant Idiots. It was on his other show.
It was on Flagrant, yeah. It was on
exactly.
Flagrant. Yep.
Exactly. Now, Andrew said that Kendrick is the Taylor Swift of rap.
Hold on, I want to say one thing about the joke. The joke was, yes, I guess people could perceive it as a rape joke, but the joke was...
It was definitely a rape joke.
But it was more so about size. He was just saying, Kendrick is this size, which is the angle Drake took too, with the pipsqueak pipe down and all of that shit like that. So it was more about size, basically like I can do whatever I want to do to you, and you have to decide, whether or not it's consensual. But once again,
he said if he was locked up, if he was cellmates with Kendrick, implying that rape happens in prison, because it does.
He said make sweet love.
Yeah, he would make sweet love to Kendrick, and Kendrick's only choice is whether he wanted to go along with it or not. It was something like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
It was funny, though.
He went to hell.
I thought it was funny.
He went to hell on him, you know? But like I said, when you make a statement like that, you got to deal with whatever, comes with it.
Right. You know what came with it? Nothing.
Nah, nothing. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I saw people, talking about that situation, and I'm like, it's going to be interesting to see what Kendrick's movie is with the creators of South Park.
Oh, there's a Kendrick South Park movie.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Yeah, Kendrick got the movie with the creators of South Park. And we know how the creators of South Park get down.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the movie is about, I don't want to misquote what the movie is about, but the movie it has something to do with race and slavery and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Oh. Okay.
What type of jokes are made in that film? Mm-hmm. Just because I just want to see how people react to it. That's all. Because comedy is a very unique thing, and when you're a comedian like an Andrew Schultz, who really, really goes there, and when you go there, it's either going to be hit or it's going to be missed. So I'm just interested to see, because everybody was taking this racial angle with it. I'm interested to see what people say when they see Kendrick's film with the creators of South Park. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I do know what it's going to be about. But I haven't, seen anything. I just saw what I read about it. You probably can look it up. I think it's like something about a guy who works in a live slavery museum, and he's dating a white woman or something like that.
Oh, so is it an animation or a live action movie?
I think it's live action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's live action. It's some shit that Dr. Umar seems like he wouldn't approve of. But we'll see.
Well, Andrew called Kendrick the Taylor Swift of rap. And I guess they reached out to you about that comment?
Nah, they never reached out to me about that comment. I remember.
Well, Andrew, I guess, said that. He said that Kendrick's team reached out to you about that. And what he said was Kendrick really is a Taylor Swift of hip-hop. No matter what he does, he's still a victim. You know how Taylor Swift is a victim? She's the biggest in the music industry, yet she's a victim to the label. She's a victim to Scooter Braun. She's a victim to her boyfriends, yet she's still the biggest in the world. Somehow Kendrick is a victim here.
Nah.
I don't really get that.
Nah, I've never
even said he's a victim. He doesn't even really talk, really. He doesn't do interviews. Like, he just does music.
Know. I don't remember. I'm not saying that Andrew didn't say that. I don't remember him saying that. And nobody ever called me about anything like that. But I don't agree with that statement. Like, Kendrick has never played victim. Kendrick is the boogeyman. Okay? Kendrick is the serial killer. Kendrick is the mass murderer. Like, the thing about Kendrick that's so interesting to me is people have been ducking Kendrick's smoke for years. What Kendrick did when he got on that Like That record was nothing new. Kendrick always threw those type of shots.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody that, I guess he ever felt worthy to respond to, responded. Like, the biggest shot was when he had the record with Big Sean and Jay Electronica, and he was naming all of those names.
Yeah.
And, you go back and you listen to it, and it's like, yeah, but that was a little bit of friendly. Euphoria was kind of friendly too. He said it. This is a friendly fade. We can keep it that way. So when I see somebody like Kendrick, to me, it's a friendly fade until it's not. Kendrick is somebody that you don't play with in no way, shape, or form. So, I've never seen, victim is not a word I would use to describe Kendrick Lamar at all.
Well, I did your show recently. I did the Breakfast Club recently. And I got to meet Jess Hilarious for the first time. Very cool, by the way. It's the first time we've ever talked, seen each other, we exchanged numbers, she might come on the show at some point, hopefully. But there's always been this kind of weird situation around her because when she first got hired, she had a maternity leave. And then, when she came back, there was another female host and so forth. So what exactly happened from your point of view?
Miscommunication. Miscommunication from, I think, the higher ups. I think that there's this misconception that myself or DJ Envy, are the higher ups. You know what I mean? We definitely have a lot of say and a lot of things that go on. Like, I definitely have an executive position, at iHeart. But
oh, you're an executive at iHeart?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
what is your position at iHeart?
I don't even remember the title. I mean, I'm the founder and the CEO of the Black Effect, but then I have
right, but that's different.
Another title with iHeart. I got another title that's probably gonna be announced. I don't want to say it yet, but
okay,
I'll be able to remember that title when I say it. Okay. But I just think it was just miscommunication. I just think it was miscommunication because when we did the hiring process, it was obvious that Just Hilarious was going to be the choice, because not only was everything there, the chemistry and everything was meshing there, it was just like that's what the people wanted. Like the people were saying how much they wanted, Just Hilarious. But we auditioned a lot of people, and somebody like Lauren LaRosa, is very good at what she does. She's a senior news producer. She was a senior news producer at TMZ. Mm-hmm. And then, we needed that position at Breakfast Club. We needed somebody to be like a senior news producer who's really in tune with all things pop culture and entertainment. And so that was always my mindset. You bring Jess on as a talent and then have Lauren be the senior news producer and have Lauren, basically help Jess produce her, Jess with the mess segment. And then, Jess went on maternity leave, and Jess, and I think people forget this, Jess is the person who said, I want Lauren LaRosa to fill in for me while I'm gone.
Okay.
Like that didn't come from anybody but her. Like
right, but wasn't there a bit of a surprise when she was still there, when she came back?
Well, she was always supposed to still be there. She was just gonna be there as the senior news producer.
Yeah.
But I just think,
as opposed to a fourth seat?
As opposed to a fourth seat, but I just think, the wires got crossed because there wasn't the type of communication that should have happened as far as, okay, what is this going to look like now that Jess is back? And yeah. I think that's what happens sometimes, man. It literally can just be, miscommunication. Like, it's not about what was said, it's about what wasn't said.
Yeah. I guess you said ever since I came back, it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell her how she feels. You know what I mean? Like, I love Jess to death. Like, that's family right there. Like, I've known Jess, man, I used to be following Jess probably when she first started her Instagram page back in like 2015. You know what I mean? I've known Jess for well over a decade. Been supporting Jess, going to her comedy shows, whether she was at, Caroline's Comedy Club or, going to watch her out of town in Texas, that's that she was a correspondent on my talk show on Comedy Central. Okay. I've known Jess for.
You guys go back.
Oh yeah, like when I launched Black Effect, she was one of the first podcasts that came out on Black Effect with the Carefully Reckless podcast. So I've known Jess forever. So if she tells me she felt like things were weird, I got no choice, but to listen to her.
Well, I have an interesting question. Sometimes when I have guests coming on, I throw it on my forum on YouTube, and we have a membership section. And one of my members, Mike D from the Air Force, said, has the exit of Angela Yee helped or hurt the Breakfast Club, in your opinion, and why?
Fantastic question. Has the exit of Angela Yee helped or hurt the Breakfast Club? I think that's inconclusive. I don't think it helps or hurts. I think that was an era. Like Angela Yee was with us, 12 years, 13 years? Like we launched the Breakfast Club together. Like nobody can ever tell me anything bad about Angela Yee in regards to the Breakfast Club, because when we started in 2010, us three individuals, myself, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee, that is who God put in that position to be that show, and that show had tremendous success. Like that show ended up in the Radio Hall of Fame. That show had so much success that Angela Yee was able to go spin off and have her own show, which is Way Up with Yee, that comes on right after the Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah, as I was leaving the Breakfast Club after doing my show, my appearance with you guys, I literally walked by and saw them doing their show. I actually waved through the window.
She's right there.
Yeah, literally all waving back to me through the window. I didn't want to interrupt them in the middle of their show, but yeah.
She's 20 feet away.
Yeah, and 20 feet away.
And in most markets around the country, she comes on at 10 a.m. right after The Breakfast Club. So to me, man, I think that's what I've always envisioned the Breakfast Club to be. I've always envisioned the Breakfast Club to be this hub where different talent can constantly come through and do exactly what Angela Yee is doing, right now. So did it help or hurt? I don't think it helped or hurt. I think that it just, enabled us to be able to bring on now 2 new talents who are having, success in their own right. Like, we can't act like, Jess Hilarious isn't, out here tearing up these comedy clubs, selling out her comedy shows, even though she was doing that before. Mm-hmm. But, now the audience is, probably even bigger. And it's like, Lauren LaRosa, she out here doing Diddy coverage, launched her new podcast on The Black Effect, the latest with Lauren. Now she's popping up on CNN and NBC, and people are saying she's one of the best hip-hop journalists out here. Like, I think to me, it helps. It helped everybody. It helped Angela Yee. It helps The Breakfast Club. To me personally.
Here's an interesting question. Do you think The Breakfast Club could last if you left the show?
Yeah.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I don't know about that one.
Absolutely,
I don't know about that one.
I do.
And shout out to everyone else on the show, because me and Envy are cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you would have to turn into something else. Just like, for example, when Joe Budden left Everyday Struggle, it just wasn't quite the same show. It kept going for a little while, but I just think that him being there with academics didn't quite work with academics and other people.
Well, I think that's because that show didn't have the longevity that a Breakfast Club has had. Like, Breakfast Club...
I don't know, though. You're right, but I don't think that's that.
Breakfast Club...
heat is heat.
Yeah, but Breakfast Club is a habit to a lot of people. And I think that's what people forget about radio, man. When you wake up in the morning and you jump in your car, or you commuting and you listening to, Breakfast Club on that iHeartRadio app, we've been there for 15 years. And I'm going to tell you how you know this, right? Think about when Angela Yee announced she was leaving. She did it with a tweet. She said, "The Breakfast Club as you know it is officially over." Immediately, social media goes fucking crazy. Like, I get this super viral. It's on USA Today, front page to page 6, all like it's everywhere, right? Like, people trying to figure out what's going on. Then she announces that she's got a new show. Then you fast forward when Lauren LaRosa is there. People become attached to that storyline. Like, yo, what's up with Lauren? And then I skipped something. People got attached to the storyline of, yo, what's going on? Like, who's gonna be the new host? We were able to do that for a whole year.
This is true.
Right?
Yeah.
Then people wondered who was gonna be the new host, because they weren't sure it was gonna be Jess, because, Jess went out there and announced it prematurely, and then we started playing with people again to make sure, to let people know we don't know if it's gonna be Jess. Everybody got caught up in that. Then we did the big reveal and it was Jess, and everybody was like, yeah. Then Jess goes on maternity leave, and it's this Lauren LaRosa woman there. And then when Jess comes back, that's a whole big thing. So people are really invested in the storyline of The Breakfast Club. And I appreciate that investment. So I think with the right talent, the right person, yes, you could definitely keep The Breakfast Club going. I would hope so. I would not ever want to see that morning radio show staple, go away. I think that Breakfast Club brand is strong. And I think that we should always constantly bring in, new talent to keep it going, because we're not going to be there forever. I know that, people look at the Howard Sterns and they're like, damn, Howard Stern still on the radio, even though it's satellite at 71. Or they look at Elvis Duran and be like, Elvis Duran is, I think late 50s, maybe 60. Now, I know radio personalities stay around for a long time, the big boys of the world and everything. I don't know if that's, me or Envy's trajectory. I don't know.
Well, I had mentioned Joe Budden. Where are you with Joe Budden these days? You guys are cool, or is there some sort of beef type thing going on? Or?
I don't have a beef with him. I haven't spoken to him, though.
When was the last time you guys spoke?
Last time me and Joe spoke on a Sunday. It was a Sunday, but this was years ago.
Sunday.
It was a Sunday. This was like 2020, maybe.
The Robins were out.
Yeah, I think it was like 2020, 2021. It was after
4 years.
Yeah, it was after one of his rants about me. He had like a week of rants about me.
Good for that.
Yeah, so,
I've gotten those Joe Budden weaker rants about Vlad.
But you know what's so interesting, man? And I remember when when Joe first ran, Joe did he had the podcast cover, and it was me and him on the cover, and it said, "We are not the same." And I was like, "That's true," right? And then he went on this rant about me, about Charlemagne, you just a worker, you don't own anything, we not running the same race, blah, blah, blah. And I remember texting, the president of the Black Effect Podcast Network, my good sister Dolly Bishop, and, texting, a couple of the execs at iHeart who are in the podcast world. And I was like, man, we just got the best rollout ever. Because our announcement for Black Effect was dropping that Monday. I think the podcast came out that Saturday, and it was coming out like that Monday or Tuesday. And it was funny because when the announcement dropped, everybody immediately, you know how the internet is, they started going online to see when Black Effect was trademarked and, when it was, copyrighted, all of that type of stupid shit. And they was just like, damn, Charlemagne had this plan the whole time. And people think that all of this stuff is just like wrestling.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, it's real.
That was just coincidence. That was just the universe. And I was like, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Then the next week he had Nori on to ask about his Black Effect deal. So all of that helped the launch. I
mean, look, me and Joe's beef goes back to like 2009 or something. And but last December we ran into each other at Bergdorf Goodman in Manhattan. And this is after years of him saying, when I see Vlad, I'm going to fuck him up, and I got lawyer money put aside. So I remember I used to go to Complex. I used to have my man with me, just in case we ran into him, And I remember I was like, I looked over, and he's like, looking at me. But it wasn't like a look of like anger or, threatening or whatever else. He was just like, I'm like, oh, shit. So I walked up to him, and I'm like, what up, Joe? And, put my hand out, shake his hand. He shook my hand. I'm like, yo. We had a very short chat, but I'm like, yo, congratulations on everything. Yeah, me and Joe definitely never got to that level. We definitely ain't trying to beef. Not that I know of. Like, I don't even know what the issue was over at this point, to be honest with you. But it's like, I've known Joe forever, man. I've known Joe since, man, I think I've known Joe as long as I've known you. Because I first interviewed Joe in like 03, 04. When I was doing, that's about the same time. Yeah, I was doing radio in Columbia, South Carolina on Hot 103.9. And, he got a bunch of family in Sumter, South Carolina. And one day somebody hit me and they was like, yo, man, Joe Budden wants to come to your show. And I'm like, Joe Budden? And yeah, he came to the show. I have that first interview that we ever did on tape. Look, and that don't need to come out because that was crazy. That was crazy? What was wrong with it? It was crazy. What happened? I mean, it was just a different era. Like, that's 03. We in Columbia, South Carolina. So what was said in this interview? It was wild. I think at the time he was beefing with Game. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. He was beefing with Game, but Joe always would do like weird shit, right? Like he'd be beefing with Game, but then you'd see him out with a G-Unit hat on. You know what I mean? And I remember having that conversation, but I bought the hat up after Joe said something about Game, and it was just it was funny, and then I bought up the hat thing. But I'm not gonna say what Joe said, but if you heard what Joe said, then heard the hat thing, you would understand. Like, come on, this is like the biggest contradiction ever, bro. Like, look, I've said this so many times, and I actually live this. All the media people, especially in hip hop, but just overall, we should all be cool with each other. Because we all win by working together. It's true. Now, radio is different. I remember when I was on Big Boy Show, I was talking to Cruz, and I was like, yeah, you radio guys can't be cool with each other. He's like, no, that's a possibility. But when it comes to digital, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to streaming, like, I've had so many wins by having friends in the same field. You know how many people I've called up? If I see a guest on someone's show, I'll hit them up. Oh, can you give me a contact? Yeah, no problem. Here you go. Oh, how much you pay so-and-so for this interview? Okay, cool. So when I talk to them, I know kind of the ballpark. Or I'll hit you up. Oh, do you have a business contact? You put me in touch with business contacts. You've asked me to get in touch with certain people. I'll put you in touch. Like, me and academics have a great relationship. Me and Adam 22 have a great relationship. Me and Sean Cotton. Me and you. Like, literally everybody, me and Bootleg Kev, me and, Gilbert Arenas now, me and Cameron now, I went on his show. Like, we all do better working with each other. This whole media beef, nobody wins. You might be viral for a couple of days, and that's that. The long-term, effect is nothing.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because when you look at, what they call the manosphere in podcasting, you got, Joe Rogan, who's, the mothership, but then you think about all of the people who Joe Rogan has helped to get over, right? Like the Theo Vons of the world and the Brendan Schaubs of the world. You can even put Andrew Schultz in that category in a lot of ways. And yeah, they all assist each other, right? Yeah. So I can totally see why you say that. I was even thinking about the Hollywood Reporter. They just did their 44 most powerful people in podcasting. I think this is the 4th year that they've done that list. I think I've been on there 3 years. This is the first year that I made it as an executive. But when you go look at the list, man, there's not really any hip hop representation.
Yeah, I don't even know about this list, so clearly I wasn't on it.
Yeah, there's no hip hop representation, and it's literally only three black people. It's myself, but they got me as an executive with Black Effect, right? So you can think about all the shows that we partnered with Black Effect. They got Michelle Obama and her brother Craig on there, in my opinion. I mean, it's a huge podcast. And then they got the Joe Budden podcast.
Oh, okay.
And so I was just sitting back I'm happy to be on the list. I'm happy to be recognized. But I'm for all the noise that hip hop podcasts make, that black podcasts make, it should be way more representation of us on this list, I would think. So that really did start to make me, think about, are we not maximizing this opportunity that we all have in this space because of, petty issues or whatever? I don't know.
Well, Breakfast Club has always been a very impactful show. This is why I always love doing Breakfast Club. I've probably been on maybe 6, 7 times at this point over the years. Now, one of my members, Rob2 CT Boy, had an interesting question. He said, do you think the Breakfast Club ruined Tyla's career when she didn't answer that question about her race?
No. That had nothing to do with Breakfast Club. I was doing what any media platform should have done, which is ask a question. If anybody, hurt Tyla, it was her label,
How so?
Because they should prep her for those kind of questions. If you're a label, if you're a publicist, and you're taking your artist on her media rounds or him on his media rounds, you know what's out there. You know what could potentially be asked. It's not like she hadn't been asked that question before. And I've seen her answer that question on social media in a very eloquent way. So just prep her to answer that question when it's asked.
So what was the question exactly?
Man, to go back, man, they came in, which you never do on Breakfast Club, because I don't even know why they would even try to play with us like that, as if we've ever followed those rules. They came in there with a list of things they did not want us to ask her.
Well, to be fair though, I usually have 1 or 2 questions that I don't want to cover. And you guys have always respected it.
Yeah, but
every single time.
But 6 or 7?
Yeah.
And I'm come on, and it was stuff because I just did Kai Cenat, and it was the whole it was a sign or something?
We friends though.
We friends though, yeah. They didn't want us to ask about Kai Cenat. They didn't want us to ask something about Chris Brown. I guess she had been on Chris Brown's tour or something. Was it Chris Brown? It was somebody. It was just a list of questions, and we might as well not even do this conversation. This doesn't even make any sense. And sometimes, man, I'm not gonna front. I can be an asshole, and it's I get really pissed off at the labels for even trying us like that. And what I did tell the label was, I'm not abiding by anything on this list. I don't know if anybody else in the room is, but I'm telling you that I'm not. So take this time to go prepare your guests. I mean, your artists. They didn't take the time to prepare her. And so when I asked the question, you saw her turn around and look to the representatives of the label.
Oh, what was the question?
It was about the colorism, wasn't it? It was about the colorism statement.
So she said she's not black, she's colored?
Yeah, and I was, by the way, I was just.
But isn't that what they say in South Africa?
That's why I asked the question. I don't know. I mean, I know now, but I asked that question to give her an opportunity to answer it. It's not like I attacked her and was like, you said such and such. I was like, yo, what was up with, you saying blah, blah, blah about, you're colored. And she just turned around and looked at the label. So, like Drake, you make things worse for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you turn and look to the label for a lifeline? And then the person from the label was like, could you please not, ask that question? Could you please not, ask that question? Could we just move on? So they kind of made it worse for themselves. But I also don't think that's the reason why, Tyla's last album didn't do well.
3,700 copies sold his first week.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
37. Yo, that's like SoundCloud numbers.
But it's a 4-song EP that I saw no promotion for.
Still, though, you're talking about what people are considering a major artist.
Mm-hmm. Man, labels still got to do their work, Vlad. That's the problem I have with a lot of these major labels, man. They're not doing any work. Like, think about all of these great projects that came out. Jid project came out. Like, where's the single, for Jid's project? He got that banging record, Skate, with Earth Gang and Sierra on it. I don't see nobody working that record at radio. I don't see, a major video for that record anywhere. Like, where are the billboards and the posters and everything when these artists drop on these major labels? Like, these labels are not doing their job. I had no idea Tyla was coming out. The problem with these labels, man, is they think that they can rely on the internet for everything. And they also are relying on the artists' social media followers. Just post that your album's coming out. That shit ain't gonna work. Like, you gotta go out there and fucking, beat the soil, put your boots on the ground.
Media run, but we saw what happened last time she did a media run, so here we are.
Well, once again, prep your artists. One thing everybody should learn this year, man, learn from the Clips. Learn from Pusha T and Malice. Mm-hmm. Everybody's talking about how genius their rollout was. Vlad, their rollout wasn't genius.
No, it was a regular rollout.
It was just a rollout.
I just ran into him in Atlanta a couple days ago.
It was just a rollout.
It was a regular rollout.
We don't see those anymore.
They did interviews.
They did interviews.
They did some listening parties.
They did listening parties.
That's it.
They put out music.
That's been done for 50 years, 100 years.
Lost art, though. Lost art. Because that's why everybody was just so, oh my God, the Clips rollout was amazing. No, you young motherfuckers, y'all just ain't never seen a real rollout. That's what should have happened with Jid. That's what should have happened with the Gunners of the world. Offset got an album coming out, I think this Friday. Same thing. I mean, he is, though. You see Offset, making his rounds. And Offset got a record. Like, when the artist does what they're supposed to do and they deliver you great music and they making the rounds, hey, record label, could you fucking do your job? I want to root for record labels, but sometimes I get pissed off at record labels the same way I get pissed off at, radio executives. Because it's like, yo, do you forget why we're here? You know what I'm saying? Like, even like radio is, as much as people want to shit on radio, 90% of the country still listens to the radio every day. And artists will tell you, I saw Rodney Jerkins sit here and say, and like he said on Breakfast Club, that my biggest checks come from the radio publishing, those radio spins, not these streaming platforms. I saw Hitmaker on $1 Million Worth of Game saying the same thing. Jermaine Dupri said the same thing. So it's just like, why are these labels trying to keep artists from, number one, making radio records, and number two, going on radio runs? If you ask me, I think it's because they know that the label makes more from streaming than the artist does.
True.
So let me get the artist to focus on that. So artist focuses on that, that's more money in our pocket, as opposed to him getting a big ass check for his, publishing that we don't get any cut of.
Well, Diddy has been found, innocent of the major charges, but found guilty over prostitution. So basically, he's been convicted of tricking. That's what I would say. He's been convicted of tricking. And he, his own lawyer said that he's the only man in America that's in jail right now for hiring male prostitutes.
Dang. The take they come and rub it on his nipple. That's all. That's the only thing that sticks to me from that whole trial, man. Pause. I didn't mean that. That was crazy. That was crazy.
Well, I've interviewed 5 of the male escorts. I'm like Thanos when it comes to male escorts right now.
Why?
What do you mean?
Like, why did you do like?
They started falling in my lap. No Diddy. Like,
damn, god damn, Vlad. Did you pay? Did you pay at least? Are they just falling off for free?
I paid most of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I paid most of them. One of them didn't want any pay. But
damn, he likes you? He just fell in your lap for free?
I don't think he liked me, but I think he understood that I would do the best job of telling the story on my platform based on my approach. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to put people's business out there, but yeah. 4 of them I paid, 1 of them I didn't pay. The Punisher was the first one.
That's crazy. This shit sound like a Boondocks skit, man.
Doesn't it, though?
Yes.
Do you know something? I don't know if you realize this or not, right? You know that people blame me for the ending of the Boondocks?
Why?
When Carl Jones was on my show, me and him had had this conversation for years. And when he was on my show, we actually talked about it, right? What had happened was when I was on the Boondocks, I forgot what season it was.
3.
3, okay. And the trailer was already out. So people were calling me about interviews. Complex called me, and I did an interview, and I had said some very general things like, oh yeah, the season's crazy. I didn't say anything specific at all. I was very careful about my wording. And what had happened was after that interview got posted, and it was a text interview, right? Aaron Magruder called up Carl Jones, who's the co-writer and the artist behind the Boondocks, and screamed at him over my interview. And they have never had that type of conflict before. Mm-hmm. And after that, everything broke apart. Now, the context of it is a little bit different because what had happened was there was this tension that was building because Carl was going out and doing like Freaknik and the Freaknik animated stuff, and he was doing Black Dynamite and so forth. Wait, did he do Freaknik? No, he was doing Black Dynamite. I think he did Freaknik later on, but he was doing Black Dynamite. It was taking time away from doing the Boondocks, so Aaron was kind of getting really upset that he wasn't devoting all his time to the Boondocks. So this was just basically the trigger that caused the explosion. But we jokingly kind of said, oh yeah, Vlad is the reason why the Boondocks ended, which is not really the real reason. So I remember there was this panel that they did on the Boondocks, like 25th anniversary recently, and they asked me to send in a video of just talking about my experience, working on it. And I guess my video got aired. A bunch of people booed in the audience.
Hilarious.
That video kind of became viral.
I'm in the booth because I played Thugnificent in the show, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm in the booth recording Dick riding Obama, right? So I'm like, Dick riding for tomorrow, Dick riding for today. And I see one of the producers, Brian Cowan, is like, tell me to stop. And I'm like, what's up? And so he said, so I come out the booth and he's like, Aaron wants to talk to you, right? But he said, use the owner of the studio, use their office, and I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound good, right? So, so I go upstairs and I get on the phone, and Aaron is just screaming, right? Like, and mind you, up to this point, he and I never had a beef. We never got into it about anything. Like, we were just always really cool. Never yelled, none of that. Like, So he's like going off, and he's mad because of Vlad. He's mad because of Vlad. Because Vlad posted something about the episode he was in, that you were in.
Right. Okay. So after I did the voiceover, and you guys were getting ready to release season 3, a trailer comes out, and I think I got to see an early cut of the episode. Complex did an interview with me about that because, it was clear that my face was out there and so forth. So I provided a very vanilla version of what happened without giving away any details or whatever else. But I guess Aaron was upset over what I had said about the episode.
Yeah, I mean,
but I didn't reveal anything, or there was no from my perspective, it was like I don't understand what I did wrong here.
Well, see, so I'm going to tell you the rest of the story, and you'll see how you were basically you weren't the explosion, you were the fuse.
Okay.
Right? So you weren't the reason why it all fell apart. But that was, I think, what gave Aaron a reason to open up about some more issues that he had, right? But so when that happened, I mean, you was all kind of motherfuckers too. But but what happened was I realized after that conversation, because I got so mad, because we started we was screaming back and forth, and then I didn't even finish. I don't think I finished Dick Riding Obama. I think I left. I just got in the car. Pause. Right. I think I left. Got in the car, And I eventually, I think, finished it. And then all our conversations from that point on were not really that good. And what I realized later was he was actually more mad at the fact that I was doing a Black Dynamite pilot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Aaron is my guy. Aaron is a really
I've never even met him. I've never talked to him.
Oh, no,
You got to introduce me one of these days.
Yeah, Aaron's a really good friend of mine. Really good creative partner. You know, he was the executive producer on both seasons of my last talk show on Comedy Central.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was Aaron Magruder, Stephen Colbert was the executive producers of that show. But yeah, he's never brought that up to me, ever. But I'll tell you something, man, Aaron is a genius.
I've always thought that.
No, people, like, when you're talking about creative genius and people who have the kind of ideas and create the kind of content that literally could shift culture.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Magruder is absolutely one of those individuals. I mean, the Boondocks, you know, that was a moment in time for him.
It's my favorite show on television.
Yeah, that's something that he created. Those 3 seasons are some of the best TV you're ever going to watch. Not even just in animation, just in TV, period. Yeah. But if you ever sit down and have conversations with Aaron, man, and just the way he sees the world, I'll tell you this. Everything that's happened over the last 8-9 years, in politics in particular, Aaron has predicted.
100%.
Even down to the coup. And I remember having a conversation with him one time and just asking him, like, yo, why is it that people who do animation, like, you know, you think about The Simpsons, you think about the Boondocks, why are y'all able to predict what's happening? And, you know, he said a lot of things, but, you know, one thing that he said is a lot of it is rooted in satire. Like, you know, sometimes when you, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but, you know, when you're a satirist, you kind of see the world for what it is, not how it appears to be. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, a lot of us are just dealing with the reality of what we see, you know, and how things appear to be, but not actually what the world is. And even if we do see what the world is, we don't feel free enough to say it or have the methods to, you know, express it. And they have the method through the cartoons and the animation. And being that it's a cartoon and not live action, you can kind of play with reality a little bit more and show people like, oh, shoot, that is how folks act when it's a new chicken sandwich, you know, at Popeyes. Oh, that is how people act over their favorite celebrities like a R. Kelly when he's on trial for some, you know, real heinous shit. Yeah. And so, man, he's brilliant beyond words. And man, I cannot wait until people see what else he is going to offer, you know, society.
Well, back to Diddy. So we don't know how much time Diddy's going to get. What would be your guess, by the way? Time served, a couple years, or something like serious, like 10 years?
We had Laura Coates from CNN on. That's crazy. Literally today we had her on, and we asked her that question, and she says she can't see any more than 3 years with time served.
So like maybe 2 more years.
Yeah, like 2 more years. That's what she said.
Right, and you carve off 85%, that might turn into a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's going to be the case, though. It seems like this judge, you know, really is not pleased with the verdict.
Well, yeah, I had Judge Mathis on my show. Mm-hmm. Now, he's not a federal judge, but he used to be a state judge, so he really knows more than all of us combined. And he said there's a reasonable chance that based on what came out on the stand, the judge might throw the book at him.
Yeah, because you can't unsee what you saw and you can't unhear what you heard. So even though people say things like, oh, you know, he wasn't on trial for domestic violence, you still saw a video. And when you see a video like that, and then you hear all of these other, you know, women say that they were experiencing, you know, domestic violence, it's hard to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know? And I think that was the biggest thing with the Diddy case to me. It's like, you know, when Cassie first came out with these allegations, man, they went so hard saying it wasn't true. They went so hard saying she was lying, only to have a video drop on CNN. It's kind of hard to give a person the benefit of the doubt after that. I was actually shocked at the verdict. I'm not going to front.
Really?
Yeah, only because I felt like, you know, he was getting cooked so much in the court of public opinion. I didn't know how a jury, and by the way, this is not just for Diddy, this is just for any court case. I don't know how a jury cannot be swayed by what they see in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, but I think it was a fair judgment.
Oh, I
agree. This was
not
not RICO. Like, come on.
I agree.
This was not RICO. This was not a criminal enterprise. This was a legitimate business where the CEO liked to rub cum on his nipples.
It was a freaky ass motherfucker. That's what it was. But no, Vlad,
Right? And it wasn't sex trafficking.
Listen, you're right.
He was not like look, Rico's resigned for the Italian mafia, right? It was pushed by Giuliani to break down these criminal organizations where you had the heads of the families insulating themselves by not actually getting their hands dirty.
But the Mann Act is for people who like to engage in prostitution.
Right. Well, no, okay. But sex trafficking is designed for pimps taking, underage girls and regular girls and making them turn tricks in motel rooms and taking all their money. Diddy was not doing that. He was doing stuff to please himself. And look, after talking to all the male escorts, I got a very clear idea that Cassie was with it.
Oh, listen, I say all the time.
Cassie was with it. She would pick out the guys. She would want to do stuff with the guys, even when the guys were over it. She would run into the guys randomly, then call Diddy, said, oh, I saw so-and-so downstairs. Let's call him up. She didn't have to do that.
Diddy was Nino Brown. Cassie was G-Money.
Okay.
That's just the fact.
Right.
Like Diddy was.
She was like Epstein and what's her name?
Giselle. But what happened was, G-Money wanted out. G-Money got tired of the treatment that they were experiencing at the hands of Nino Brown, so they wanted out. I mean, we can't sit here and act like there wasn't text messages where she was explicitly saying like, look, man, you treat me like a rag doll. I'm somebody's child. Or hey, this is not what I want to do right now. So. But to your point, yes.
And she could have left at that point, right?
We saw her try to leave, and we saw how that played out. He chased after her in a towel and pulled her to the ground and beat her up.
Well, yeah, and that was horrible, but that was one instance. The next day...
That's all it takes.
The next day, you could have left and never came back.
It's easy to say that, but when you're experiencing that...
It is.
It's easy to say that, but when you're experiencing that kind of abuse at the hands of somebody, I can see why she would be afraid to just up and leave. And if you're thinking about it like this, if you're a person like her, you know where all the bodies are buried.
Right.
Diddy can't afford to just let her walk away. By the way, Diddy should have settled this shit a long time ago.
Listen, what Diddy should have done? Should have given her a baby.
Damn.
That's what he should have done. Should have given her a baby, taken care of that baby, made her part of his extended family. Everyone would have been happy. And then moved on to another girl.
But all you're
and then taking care of her financially.
But that's all you're talking about, is taking care of her financially. That's
right, but I'm saying, with a baby, that would have actually made the most sense. Because look, at the end of the day, he was abusing Kim Porter in a similar fashion.
I don't know.
No, it's true. Like I was with Roger Bonds. I was interviewing Roger Bonds, and he was there the day that Diddy broke Kim's nose. They had to fly in a plastic surgeon and everything else like that. She stayed, but she had multiple kids by him. They would beat each other up also.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you hear stories like that, you got to understand that energy is real, right? Like the energy you put out, eventually you will get back. Like you cannot run from yourself. I don't know if I want to necessarily call it karma, but if you've been living La Vida Loca like that for a long time and getting away with a lot of bullshit like that, eventually it will catch up to you. And so that's why when I see a situation like this and you look at the money that Diddy's lost, you look at the time that Diddy's facing, all of that plays a part. Like you truly cannot run from yourself. Whatever you on eventually will catch up to you, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. And I want people that's watching this to really understand that there's somebody out there right now that's going through motherfucking hell, but they are a good person. And they're constantly figuring out ways to be of service and be a good individual. I promise you, eventually, that good is gonna catch up to you, and you gonna be okay. And there's somebody out there right now living foul as a motherfucker, but they rich, they got all the success, they doing everything right in the world, they doing everything. You look at them and you can say, damn, they living the way I would want to live, but they living foul. Eventually, that foulness is gonna catch up to them, and they gonna lose everything. Mark my words. I haven't seen it fail yet.
Okay, but look, let's just keep it 100, because people like to, paint Diddy as a villain. There's the bad boy curse and so forth.
Listen, I'm in no position to say whether or not somebody's a villain or not. I'm just speaking about the just laws of the universe.
No, I get it, but realistically, who do you think has helped more people become successful? You or Diddy?
Probably Diddy. He's been around longer.
Exactly.
But what does that mean?
People like to ignore what Diddy has actually done. He's taken so many people that were completely unknown.
Yeah.
And given them careers.
But
that
Vlad,
they still eat off of today.
But Vlad, you can't live two lives. I tell people that shit all of the time. You could be doing all the good in the world over here, but if you're living foul, the foul is eventually going to eclipse the good. Always.
But was it that foul? Like, I understand the domestic abuse and so forth, and that's horrible. And
You just told me that he broke somebody's nose. And that's on top of watching.
He's a domestic abuser. He beats up women and men and so forth. And for that, he should have had to pay. But when you turn it into RICO and sex trafficking and a bunch of stuff, which I feel
how do you know?
but
I'm just asking.
I just feel it just doesn't apply. And the jury agreed with me.
I'm with you, but you're looking at it from a legal standpoint, which is the right thing to do. But I'm talking about just from the laws of the universe. How do we know he's not paying for it now? Can you imagine being 56 years old, or however old he is, former billionaire, still worth a few $100 million, but now you're sitting in a jail cell, no matter how much money you got.
Yeah, it sucks.
There's nothing you can do to get out this situation. Think about all the money he spent in lawyers. Think about how his reputation is damaged.
Oh no, it's
like,
a wrap.
Like people go like, yo,
no more award shows.
Come on, man.
You know,
you was rubbing Coco Loso on your nipples. Like that's what people. Even when you come home, people gonna look at you and be like, yo, this guy's a freak. This guy was fucking guys. I mean, had guys fucking his girl and taking the nut and rubbing the Coco Loso on his nipple.
Oh,
This. Would you want? I'm asking a serious question. Would you want to be Diddy now?
No, but
in order to be Diddy now, in order to be Diddy then, you had to be Diddy now.
I don't know if you saw this, right? But I interviewed this one dude, Daniel Phillip. He was one of the male escorts, right? You heard about the whole rubbing on the nipples thing, but there's more to the story. At one point, he said that, him, Diddy, and Cassie were like doing some 8-hour freak off, whatever. And, he finally was just like, I got to get out of here. Like, I got to go home. So he basically faked an orgasm. So he pretended like he came inside her.
And Diddy said, where's the nut?
Right. So she ran to the other room, and then Diddy comes out 10 minutes later. Was like, hey man, you sure you came?
God.
He's like, yeah, definitely. She goes, all right, cool. He goes back to the room, comes out again, and said, man, are you positive that he came? Like, yeah, no, I think I just didn't come that much. Like, all right, well, that's cool. You can go now. And I'm like, this dude was poking around in there trying to find it. Like, what?
I pretended to come inside of her, and they run off to the room like they usually do. But then a couple of seconds later, Diddy pops his head out the door and he's like, yo, fam, you came? And I was like, yeah, I came, bro. And he was like, oh, okay. He closed the door, went back in. About 30 seconds later, he pops his head back out. He's like, yo, fam, come on, man. You didn't come, did you? And I was like, bro, I came. Like, he's like, really? I was like, dude, listen, I came before, so maybe a little bit came out, but I don't know, man. But I felt like I came, bro. I felt like I had a orgasm, bro, like whatever. So he went back in the room, and that's when they let me go. But that was the moment that I realized, yo, there's something to the semen aspect of this, and that's crazy, because then I started getting grossed out by this. I was like, yo, what is he doing?
Like, what the hell? Like, this is so crazy.
You know what's crazy, though? It's that same, when you think about it, it's that same mindset that created some of the greatest records of all time.
Yeah.
Because that's sampling.
Sampling?
That's sampling.
He's sampling some dude's cum.
That's what I'm saying. He was sampling semen. And
he was semen sampling.
I'm trying to find this sample.
He was semen sampling.
I'm hunting for...
Yo, this is going to be the new thing. Diddy was semen sampling.
I was hunting for this sample. You sure?
When he said he invented the remix, he wasn't kidding. Like,
I'm trying to tell you, listen, I'm telling you, he was the same, deliberate, detailed, mind that tried to find these samples for these records was trying to find that cum to rub on his nipples, man. That shit is crazy.
Clearly, vaginal juice just wasn't enough at that very moment. He needed the actual yam juice.
And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Minister Farrakhan says something all the time. He says, when you see people fall, don't laugh, learn.
Yeah.
And that's literally what I think about in all these situations. I remember people got mad at me when this situation first happened. Because I was like, man, this is sad. Because it was. Because you can't act like Diddy wasn't the maestro of culture that he was.
100%.
From music to fashion to alcohol, like he was hip hop for a long time. If hip hop had a mascot that took like literally everything to a whole other level,
Diddy.
it was Diddy.
100%.
And it's not even close. I was in jail in 96, 97, writing down how I wanted to be signed to Bad Boy, right? Because I used to want to rap. Who did not want to be a part of
everyone
that?
did. Everyone did, yeah.
So when I see situations like this, I'm not even gonna sit here and act like that shit ain't heartbreaking. Because it's like, damn, man, this guy that, you know, inspired so many of us, had so much influence on the culture, just crashed and burned simply because he lacked discipline. And it's wild, right? Because it's just this goes back to what I said about you can't live two lives. You can have a level of discipline that keeps you up all night in the studio, makes you hunt for these samples, you know, knows what to tell these artists to get the best out of them. But then you can lack discipline in another area that has you doing reckless shit like hiring prostitutes and beating up on women and going on drug binges.
Yeah, look, you said drug use, violence towards women, sleeping with prostitutes. You can't move like that when you're a black man in the position of power that Diddy was in. And I hate when people say things like, well, white men get do this all the time. Well, guess what? We not white. We are black, and we should not move like corrupt white men do, but nobody wants to have that conversation about accountability and discipline. Now, there's Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, they got Harvey.
You know?
They definitely got Harvey.
I don't think it's because he's black. I think it's because Cassie filed that lawsuit and the story was so insane and everyone was so high profile. That's what made it what it was. I don't think it was really a racial thing. Do you?
I didn't say that this situation was black. I'm just simply saying that when you're a black man in America who reaches that level, you got to move way more disciplined than a guy like a Harvey Weinstein has to. That's just my personal opinion. Like, why even risk it? Like, you're already a target. You're already a target because you're a black person. You're already a target because you're a rich black person. So you have to move way more militant and way more disciplined than everybody else does. Because guess what? We don't get the opportunity to fail. Usually when we fail, it's over. When you see somebody
I don't know about that.
Come on, look.
I disagree.
Look at Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is just getting his get back.
He's going to make a comeback.
Yeah, we got him
Have
in
you seen Magazine Dreams?
Oh, phenomenal.
Movie of the year.
Phenomenal. And we got, he's starring in a movie that I'm producing called True Threat. You know,
Jonathan Majors will be fine. And to be honest,
think about Jonathan Majors, but then think about a Jeremy Renner. Everybody forgets about Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye. I'm just going to tell you to look up Jeremy Renner and look up the stuff that he was accused of.
What was he accused of?
I'd rather you look it up. I don't like to just throw stuff out there because I don't want to say that and then it'd be wrong. But Jeremy Renner was accused of some heinous stuff, and Marvel kept it moving. The Hawkeye TV show came out. He's still gonna be in the movies. You know, they had a renovation show with him on Disney. Meanwhile, Jonathan Majors is on video running from a white woman. Taking off running, and done. Lost everything. Come on, Vlad.
Well, yeah, I'm looking this up. So I guess there was a custody dispute with his ex-wife, and a bunch of stuff came out.
Read some of the stuff. It's some crazy
he
shit.
threatened to kill her, threatened to kill himself, fired a gun to the ceiling while their daughter was in the house, used drugs and left cocaine where the daughter could access it, and bit their daughter on one occasion. Not the biting. Who does this?
That's Hawkeye.
That's Mike Tyson.
I'm saying that's Jeremy Renner who plays Hawkeye. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just simply saying Marvel didn't treat him the way they treated Jonathan Majors. And Jonathan Majors is on video running from the woman and then got charged with a misdemeanor. That wasn't a felony. It was a misdemeanor. Come on, man. You gotta move different when you're black.
But to be fair, I remember reading an article recently by, it was like a Marvel director or an exec or something, and they were saying that even before this happened, Marvel was already moving away from Kang the Conqueror as being the main villain to Doctor Doom.
That sounds good, Vlad. But they had a whole Ant-Man movie where Jonathan was the star.
Kang the Conqueror got defeated by Ant-Man. Like, this
which was
exactly
ridiculous.
the super villain that you look up to.
Well, you're right. I thought that they should have had Kang kill Ant-Man just to show how strong he was.
There you go.
But they did. But it was the multiverse of Kang. So at the end of that Ant-Man movie, it's like a million different Kangs. Like it was supposed to be Avengers Kang Dynasty. Yeah, it's easy for Kevin Feige to say we were going to move away. Yeah, sure you were now.
Look, I don't I'm a Marvel super fan. I used to read comic books and so forth. I didn't think that Kang was a great supervillain, to be honest.
He's
and sorry, I just want to finish by saying this. I feel that Jonathan's strength is not in a superhero or supervillain kind of role.
He was good as Kang, though.
I feel like he's just so much. He wasn't as good as Magazine Dreams.
Well, two different roles.
That's what I'm saying. But I feel like he's better at this dramatic role. You see what I'm saying? And he doesn't shy away from gay roles and stuff like that because Magazine Dreams had a whole a gay kind of storyline.
That was crazy.
When
he walked away, he walked out spitting out the trailer. He left the trailer after being with the dude spitting on the ground like he just left a freak off.
Exactly. No, listen. When I met Jonathan for the first time at Jason Lee's Hollywood Unlocked Awards, and we got introduced, and the first thing I said was Oscar-worthy performance.
Yo,
Oscar-worthy performance.
If he hadn't had none of this controversy and his career was still doing what it was doing, and this movie came out, he'd have won the Oscar for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Listen, I tweeted this recently. I said my top 2 movies of the year so far: number 1, Magazine Dreams; number 2, Weapons.
I haven't seen Weapons yet.
Great movie.
I got Sinners my number 1.
Who?
Sinners.
I like Sinners. I didn't love it.
I love it.
Because here's the thing. I felt that Sinners didn't quite have the originality of Magazine Dreams and Weapons. Yeah, because it's generally a vampire movie, right? Yes, it has cool music sort of incorporated in it. I think it's dope the way they used, Michael B. Jordan as both characters and so forth, but it was a vampire movie, right? More or less.
The ill thing about Sinners, the vampires weren't even the greatest threat in the movie.
What do you mean?
Greatest threat in the movie was white people.
What do you mean?
You forget the end scene of Sinners. The end scene of Sinners isn't them taking out the vampires. It's Michael B. Jordan taking out all those white people who came to kill him in the morning.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That movie represented, for a moment in time, there was a group of black people who, purchased this property and they had a little bit of liberation for just a few hours. Literally, just for a few
hours.
Just for a few
that day, and that's it.
Just for a few hours. And you know what caused all of that shit to go down the drain? White people. It was a white woman. It was the white woman who ended up being a vampire that he let in and fucked her. And then it was the white people who came the next morning who, whether or not the vampires got them, the white people was gonna get them.
Well, I mean, it was vampires that really ruined everything. When you really think about it, it was the original vampire.
All I'm saying, well, it was no. I will say this: it was paleness. It was pale vampires
okay.
and white people.
I thought Sinners was very good.
Sinners
I watched
was good.
it twice. I went to the theaters and watched it. Right, I supported the movie. Was it Ryan Coogler?
Ryan Coogler, man, another
great.
genius.
And the fact that he switched genres, he doesn't do horror films.
Ryan's so genius, he can literally do whatever he wants to do. Like him and Aaron Magruder, they have the same type of brain to me. It's the same level of creative genius. But to go back to my point, man, that is a message that I will tell every black person. I don't even like the conversation when people say things like, man, white people get to do it. Yo, you not white. I'm not trying to get in a position of power and acquire money to be evil. And I'm not saying all white people are evil. I'm just saying that's what it sounds like when they make that statement. Like, white people get to get away with that? That's not what I want. I want us to just move like the civilized kings and queens, gods and goddesses that we are. If we do that, we don't got to worry about none of this type of stuff. Like, what they say, what's the word they like to say? I'm just saying, they'll say it's a public lynching. Sure, but don't give them the rope. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to give you the rope. Like, I should know how to move out here. If I already know that I'm going to be a target, why am I giving them something to target? Nobody can take me out if I'm not giving you something to take me out with. Like, you know how they say, they be like, oh, this alcohol company that Diddy was a part of,
I don't agree with
wanted
that.
to take him out.
That's conspiracy theory.
I do believe that's conspiracy theory, but let's just say it's true. I totally agree. I believe conspiracy theory. But if it is true, if Diddy doesn't give them anything, if they don't know Diddy has these vices and these bad habits, they can't use them against them.
Yeah, but look, people are gonna have relationships. People are gonna have sex. Like, for example, the Tyler Perry situation. You see those text messages?
That was some bullshit. Them text messages were some bullshit.
You think it was fake?
It's not that they were fake. It just wasn't about anything. Like, they weren't saying nothing crazy.
Well, it's two consensual people. Now, if they're gay, they're gay. Like I've always thought.
I didn't even see the sexual side of the text messages. I didn't see nothing sexual in
you
them
didn't
texts.
see that, the
I must
sexual
have
side of
missed
the
those.
Hold on a second.
I didn't see that. I saw the guy asking for Tyla for help, and Tyla was giving him advice.
So allegedly, one of the text messages from Tyler Perry to this guy Dixon, who was suing him, said, "When you have a big dick, when you hit that G spot right on these bottoms, they go crazy."
That's fake. That's not real. Like that's not real. Where that came from, Vlad? That's not real.
I mean, you could check text messages. Like you can't fake a text message.
That's not
By
real.
the time it gets to court, like you have to show, like you could subpoena like the cell phone company and so forth. You can't fake a text.
I didn't see that nowhere.
This one complex.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see that nowhere.
Yeah, that's part of the lawsuit.
Yeah, I didn't see that nowhere.
Yeah. Listen, to me, this looks like a consensual relationship between two gay men, which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problems with that. I have gay friends, you know, shout out to Jason Lee. I have gay employees. I have never given a shit about your sexual preference.
But think about how somebody is trying, and I don't know if that's true or not, but think about how somebody can weaponize that just to get a fucking payday. So I'm just saying, you gotta move. And by the way, to your point, when you're in a position of power, you can't move like everybody else
moves. So you can't send text
moves.
messages like that with someone that you're sexually involved in? Really?
Probably not. Not nowadays. I wouldn't. I would learn from that if that's true.
Yeah, but look, people gonna have sex, people gonna have relations. Like, what's the big deal? Seriously, what's the big deal? So two guys are talking about sexual stuff because they're probably having sex. So what?
But what if your lifestyle isn't out there for everybody?
Well, that's the problem. I think that with, and I've talked to people that know him and so forth, and they're like, listen, we don't know about his sexuality and we really don't ask. At the end of the day, I feel like if, Tyler came out as gay, do you think anyone would be shocked? I mean, his claim to fame was dressing up like a woman. At the end of the day, like nobody would be shocked.
I don't even think that matters. I think that's just art. Like, even the whole dressing up like a woman thing, man, when we were growing up, that was nobody cared. Nobody cared that
Would
Jamie
you
Foxx.
be shocked if he came out of the closet? I would not be shocked.
I wouldn't give a fuck.
Exactly. But seriously, nobody would be shocked. Nobody would be shocked. Look, he has a baby and so forth, but you see gay men who have babies and so forth. I think it's cool. Honestly, I think people would actually embrace him more. But this is the problem I think that he's probably having because his core audience is who?
Women.
But specifically, what type of women?
Black women from the South that are probably into the church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think in the church, there's a certain stigma about that.
Yeah,
Am I right?
Yeah, but it shouldn't be anymore. Yeah, like you said, how do we even get here? How did we get to this conversation?
I don't know. But speaking of this, is a good.
I do want to say something though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tyler Perry is another unsung hero. Tyler Perry, if you ask me, doesn't get celebrated enough.
Really?
I do not.
I feel he's extremely celebrated. He should be.
By his fans, but I think that, just the industry and culture should celebrate him more. What he's done is damn near impossible for a black man to do, but it's difficult for anybody to do. This guy has his own studio in Atlanta where Marvel even films out of. Like everything that we talk about wanting to do, building your own, being independent, creating your own art, not having to answer nobody. He's the blueprint. Like the person that the shit Dame Dash be talking about, he really does
the real
it.
one, yeah.
He really, really does it. And his name doesn't come up enough for me when those conversations happen.
Well, I mean, you know why? What I feel is because the films he makes are not like the Oscar-worthy films. They're good films for his audience.
But you know what? Tyler has some movies that have aged very well. And I think that, the other thing about Tyler, it's not that he didn't start in film. He started with stage plays. Like my mother-in-law was a huge Tyler Perry fan. We would go to Blockbuster late 90s, early 2000s picking up, Madea stage plays. So when he came out with Diary of a Mad Black Woman, which was a fantastic movie, by the way, which you see memed up crazy now. Everybody's always running with the Diary of a Mad Black Woman memes. The movie did so well because he had already laid that foundation with the stage plays. He had already made millions of dollars off the stage plays, went and did the movie, made $30 million, I think, opening weekend with Lionsgate. That was great. That movie, Daddy's Little Girl, Those are some really good films when you look back at them in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean the new movie with Taraji. The one
I know you're talking about. I didn't see it though.
It was great.
A lot of people say that.
It was great.
Yeah.
Was it Oscar-worthy great? I'm not sure, but Taraji really did her thing in it.
But I would rather somebody say the movie is great than, I mean, listen, winning an Oscar is great too, but
Yeah.
the fact that you are sitting here saying, yo, that movie was great, that's all I can hope for when I
There you
create
go.
some art.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, at the end of the day, I think what Tyler has pulled off is insane. I mean, he's got a damn airport at his house.
But people
Right, so-
people would rather talk about his sexuality. That's whack to me.
Well, I think people are going to talk about the things that you don't address, and it's sort of like in everyone's face.
What if it's
At
not,
the point that you
what if
address
it's not
it,
your business?
Look,
It's none of our business, Vlad.
how long did I not comment on the whole like Farrakhan situation? I spent 5 years not commenting on it. People kept talking about it. At the point that I commented on it, it all went away.
I would never.
I addressed it.
If everybody had, if everybody was walking around, talking about my sexuality, I would not ever address it unless I wanted to. I think that's the problem nowadays. We let social media force us to talk about things that we probably aren't ready to talk about. Like, we had Pete Davidson on the show recently, man. That's a good friend of mine, known Pete since she was 16. Pete just announced that he's having a baby, right? But one of these media outlets saw him and his, the mother of his child coming out of like the doctor's office. So they're like, oh, she's pregnant. So basically they were about to put the story out. And they was like, look, we'll give you 3 months. You know how fucked up that is? You know what I mean? For an outlet to be like, hey man, we'll give you 3 months. So now I got a plan when I tell my family and friends and everybody because of, I'm afraid of this outlet dropping the story.
Welcome to being a public figure, boo-hoo.
That's
But
that's fucked up,
No,
Vlad.
it's not fucked up.
Yes, it is.
We
That's
all
fucked
decide
up.
to be in this.
But that's fucked up.
We've all decided that this is going to be our job.
But Vlad,
and with this job, you get the huge benefits. You get all the money. You get the love walking around.
Yes.
People taking photos with you, telling you how much they admire you. Let me tell you, that means a lot on a bad day for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had one of the most fucked up days ever back in December. And I was sitting there and I was just like, yo, like really just a fucked up ass day. And someone walked up to me and said, yo, bro, I love your shit. I was in the military. I used to watch all the time. I just want to say how much it means to me. That meant everything to me that day.
Yeah, but Vlad,
You know what I'm saying?
But you, like me,
Yeah.
like to keep our family private.
Yes, but I know that if it comes out, it comes out. Oh, well.
But if you
I signed up for it, you signed up for it.
But if you can prevent it, right? You would
But
at
sometimes
least
it's
try.
unpreventable. And the bigger you get, the harder it is to prevent
But
it.
just think about the lack of humanity that comes from a media outlet when they say, "Hey, because think about it, we don't know if it's a difficult."
That was actually nice of them, because let me tell you, if it was a random person with a cell phone, everyone's a media outlet
Absolutely.
now.
But what if?
A random person with a cell phone would have posted it would have went viral, and then
Absolutely.
it'd be over.
But
The
think
media
about it.
outlet at least gave them 3 months.
Absolutely, but think about it. What if it's a difficult pregnancy for this young woman? What if because of the stress of it being revealed, it might cause her to lose the baby? Like there's a lot that goes
It's
with it.
horrible, but we all signed up for this.
We didn't,
Pete
though.
Davidson could have said, you know something, this acting thing ain't for me. I'm going to go behind the scenes. I'm going to be a producer or a director. I'm going to be Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele pretty much I saw him sitting by himself at an airport one day. Nobody was talking to him. I went up and started talking to him because he really is not out there like that anymore. He's not on screen. He's behind the scenes. So if really your privacy is important, don't make yourself a leading man.
Sure, but it's still foul for a media outlet to say, "Hey, we're going to respect you and give you 3 months." Like, get the fuck out of here. And by the way, and you know what? I would respect it even more, Vlad, if those outlets, whether it's the TMZs or the Page Sixes or whoever it is, I need to know who y'all are. Let's start putting their business on Front Street. And I mean that with everybody. I'm talking about like all of the YouTubers and the news outlets that want to report all of the salacious bullshit.
It's all potentially out there.
No, I want to know.
Every day I wake up knowing that whatever I'm trying to keep quiet might just come out.
But you did.
today.
You're Vlad TV. You have chosen to be out there. What
Yes.
about the people who hide behind the cameras, hide behind their platforms, and we don't know nothing about them, but they can dig up all this shit about us?
I mean, look, for example, like Art from Art of Dialogue, right? Me and him are.
That's really his name?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's how it came out.
Shout out to Art of Dialogue. I
shout
had
out
no
to Art.
idea.
Now, listen, me and him are cool now, right? At one point, we had a little bit of an issue because I felt that his thumbnails looked so much like my thumbnails that it was confusing people into clicking on it, thinking that it's my shit.
You were absolutely right.
Right. So me and him eventually had a phone call, and he said, listen, I understand. I'm address that. I'm just going to put my logo on there. Will that be cool? I said, yeah, absolutely fine. And ever since, we've been cool. He's never been on camera. We've talked about doing an interview, and he's sort of like, yeah, we're going to do it, but not right now. So he's literally never been on camera. Nobody knows who he is.
Smart guy.
Me, I'm off camera, but I'm also on camera a lot. I do the Breakfast Club. You know, I do Big Boy's show. Like, people stop me and constantly ask me for photos and so forth because I've chosen to put myself out there. Like, you could be completely unknown. Like, seriously, Art could be sitting behind us right now. I wouldn't know it. I've never even seen him. We've had phone calls, never even done FaceTime, right? But you choose this. You choose this, and you understand everything that comes with it when you choose it, and you could also move away from it at some point.
But contrary to popular belief, Vlad, you still have a level of humanity. I've seen it in you.
Yeah.
I've seen you, hey, Vlad, I don't want this out. And you like, okay, I completely understand.
We've had interviews, you've asked me to take things out.
Absolutely. So I understand, you have a level of humanity.
True.
I don't think you would say to somebody, okay, yeah, I know that, you having a kid, but, I'm gonna give you 3 months.
I would not. But I wouldn't bash somebody who did.
I'm a bash. I got to.
I mean,
I think that's foul.
This happens to media a lot, even with law enforcement and stuff like that. If you look at like the Jeffrey Dahmer cases and so forth, the media will find out something, and then like the police are like, if you put this out, this might affect the investigation. They're like, okay, cool, we'll give you a week. But at some point, we're going to put this out. This is just the nature of it. But the reality is that the media, the so-called old media, does not run shit anymore. The person with a cell phone changes the whole narrative.
Oh, 100%.
One picture,
100%.
one short video has all the media outlets chasing after that person and putting their stuff out.
100%. But I agree with you. But those individuals like that, I don't expect anything from. But those traditional outlets,
it's uncontrollable.
Those traditional outlets, I expect something.
But it's uncontrollable. It's completely uncontrollable. At the end of the day, listen.
It is controlled though, because in that case, the platform controlled it. Because the platform told him, "I'm gonna give you 3 months." So now,
in this particular case, I'm just talking about in general.
So me, if I'm him now, I gotta dictate how I tell my family and friends and everybody based on when they gonna leak the story. That's not right, man.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this is just the reality.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like at this point, like I have to look at reality, not about personal decisions. Look, I've had stuff over the years where someone's filmed something and I've just called them and say, listen, if this comes out, this is just going to make me look bad. And, if you just take it down, if you need a favor from me in the future, I got you. And they're like, okay, cool. We won't put it out. And that'd be the end of that. And, you try to do damage control sometimes, but you also realize that this conversation might go very left field. If I just go fucking left. So, it is what it is. And like, for example, look at the Shannon Sharpe situation. And you've commented on this also. You said there's absolutely no reason for a 54-year-old man at the time to be hollering at a 19-year-old. Listen, it may be legal, but just common sense should say, you know what? This is not what I want to be in.
Yeah.
I don't know if really the age difference is what caused the problems. I think maybe whatever the BDSM or whatever kind of sort of weird relationship they had, along with the age difference, kind of magnified it. But really, I think that was a lot of it. If he was just dating a 19-year-old and it was just a regular vanilla relationship, unintended.
What's 55?
I don't think it would have been a big deal.
What's 55 minus 19? Somebody look that up for me real quick. What's 55 minus 19?
I can't believe I can't. Hold on, 55, 20, 36 years old?
Okay, 36 years old.
Difference.
Let's get this right, because they'll kill us on YouTube. 55 minus 19, 36 years old. So let's just say, let's just round it up to 37. So
okay.
When he was 37, she was 1.
Okay.
If you walk in a room and you see a man with his dick out over a baby crib, you're going to be like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You can't say that.
Yes, man.
You can't, no.
I
Because he didn't meet her when she was 1.
I don't care.
Now, if if he was like her babysitter,
no.
I remember I saw this one post. It was like, this was like going viral. It was like this girl with like her baby father's like, yeah, this dude used to babysit me when I was younger. Now I got a baby with him. Life is crazy. Now that is nasty.
I saw DL on here, and DL said he like older women with stretch marks, and DL said he like women that are dealing with menopause. Yes.
And I only pause for menopause.
And listen, I always thought something was wrong with me because, you know, I was a kid that was getting touched on when I was 8 years old, right? Like when I was
so that actually happened, huh?
Yeah, I wrote about it in my first book. I've always talked about it. When I was 8 years old, there was a woman that was giving me head, letting me suck on her titties. The only reason I made her stop is I didn't like the smell of her Jerry curl, right?
Right. But 8 is illegal, 19 is not.
But because of that, I've always liked older women. You know what I'm saying?
Is your wife older?
She's like 2 years younger than me. But it's like I've always.
Well, I guess you didn't like him that much.
No. I never met an older woman that, you know, wanted to be with me in that way. But I also met my wife when we were super young.
Look at Usher.
But that's my point. He met somebody when he was younger.
He's consistently with older. Both of his ex-wives are older.
Yeah, but
his current wife and his ex-wife was older.
Listen, if I hadn't, you know, met my wife when we were in high school, I probably would have ended up with a
cougar.
Oh yeah, probably. You know what I mean? But that's not the way my life went. All I'm simply saying is there is no reason to look at a 19-year-old girl at 50 plus years old and say, yo, that's what I want to be with. Now, by the way, I'm not even judging you for your desires. What I'm judging is, bro, you got something to lose, act like it. You gotta know that's not gonna end well. A 19-year-old OnlyFans model, you think that you can leave her them type of voice messages and have those type of conversations with her and blah, 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 and that's gonna end well? And I'm not even sitting here having hypothetical conversations, Vlad. None of these situations have ended well. So we can sit here and make all the excuses.
No, all the situations that ended badly didn't end well, but there's lots of situations that are just fine that we don't know about.
I don't know. I don't care about
Seriously,
those.
Do you think every situation like that ends badly?
I don't care about those.
You've always had older men and younger women throughout history.
But Vlad,
this is normal. This is totally normal.
But Vlad,
my dad was 11 years older than my mom.
Sure, but I don't care about those. I'm talking about the ones we've seen.
They were married until he died. Like, seriously, they've had a great marriage.
I'm telling us as men, especially men that are in the positions that we're in, how to move. These are lessons that we can look at to be like, that ain't the route I want to go. Shannon Sharpe has lost a lot of money.
23 million. Allegedly.
Diddy's lost a lot of money and some freedom. What are we arguing about?
Yeah. Shannon Sharpe got fired from ESPN, even after settling.
That's my point. There's nothing to debate about this. We should, as Minister Farrakhan said, when you see men fall, don't laugh, learn. And that's my biggest issue with all of these situations. What are we learning? I think sometimes we end up, you know, getting on these podcasts or getting on these platforms and debating things instead of actually learning from them. I'm not here to say whether Shannon was right, whether Shannon was wrong, Diddy was right, Diddy was wrong. That's not for me to judge. I'm just looking at the situation and saying us as men, we got to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say that either one of them, I mean, the domestic violence was definitely wrong, but in terms of sexual preferences, I don't really think either one of them was really wrong. I think that they happened to approach it wrong and not take care of the women the way they could and have the women leave angry and so forth and have these women be vindictive and so forth. Like, you could really humble yourself and you could really, you know, like, for example, I used to always talk about this. I interviewed Tupac's rape accuser, right? And I was talking to his co-defendant and I said, look, in this particular situation, when she came out the room claiming that these guys raped her and he let it happen and he wasn't even in the room, he was sleeping on the couch and he woke her up. If he had just said, listen, let's go in the other room, let's talk. Let me calm you down. What can we do to fix this? Let me give you some money. You know something, let's me and you just get up out of here and let's just go spend some quiet time together. I said, would any of this rape, prison, or whatever come with it? He said, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Tupac was also in his 20s. And as much
exactly, he was young.
Yeah, as much as we like to talk
he
about
was young. He didn't know any better. He didn't learn over time that you have to treat certain situations, especially when you're a certain type of person and the person, you know.
That's all I'm saying.
Instead, you know what he said? He said, get this bitch out of here.
That's all I'm saying.
They got that bitch out of there. She went downstairs and called the police.
So let me ask you a question. Pac was in his 20s.
Uh-huh.
Diddy was in his 40s. He was 46 years old on that Cassie video. Shannon Sharpe's in his 50s. So at what point do we learn?
Yeah.
That's all I'm simply saying.
You got a point.
At what point do we learn? I'm married, okay? A faithful black man, all right? That black men don't cheat, okay? October 2016 was the last time I ever played around. Because
you actually admitted to cheating?
Of course, because my thing is this, right? You know, if you lay down every night with a woman and you say this is your best friend, I'm the type person, man, I need all my energy clean. So I'm willing to deal with whatever comes from me being 100% completely honest, especially if I already know which direction I'm taking my life. I want to be clean. I want things to be pure. I want my energy to be right. Let me go ahead and lay it all out there. Let me go ahead and lay on this sword. Let me lay on this cross. And man, the things that come from being honest are what you actually want. The things that you gain from lying, they don't last. The things that you gain from lying is not a good foundation. The things that you gain from being honest is actually a concrete foundation that you can really, really build on. Building on a lie is like building on quicksand, man. Eventually that shit gonna sink.
I mean, look, if you find that person that really satisfies you all around.
I've been with my woman for 27 years.
Congratulations.
Anytime you take away somebody's power of choice, that's when it becomes criminal. That's when it becomes fucked up. When you take away somebody's power of choice, I want to lay all options on the table and tell you this is how I'm moving, and this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna be doing, and then you decide. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like that with everything. I'm gonna give you the option to choose. I'm not gonna try to manipulate you. I'm not gonna be deceitful about it. I'm not gonna lie about it because I don't want anything that's rooted in a lie. Like I said earlier, when you build on an honest foundation, it's concrete. That shit ain't going nowhere. Building on a lie is building on quicksand.
And I mean, to all the men that are watching this, you'll really be surprised how accepting women are of the truth.
That's all they want.
Like, if you really just tell them, listen, I like you, I want to build with you, I see a future with you, but there's also other women going to be involved along the way. Now, that don't mean that that's going to change how me and you interact, but you just have to realize that it's not just going to be us.
Hey man, God bless them brothers. I don't want them kind of headaches, Vlad. I'm gonna be honest with you. I deal with really bad anxiety. When I was out there living like that, my anxiety was always through the roof. I'm always constantly lying to my wife. Like, that shit is whack. You know what I mean? And I will tell people this, man. When I told God, I want to do right by my wife. You know, I really want to be the husband that she needs, the partner that she needs. And I started doing that work on myself and started going to therapy and everything else. Vlad, I promise you, from 2016 to now, my life has just done this in every single way. You know, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially. Why would I ever want to go back to that? Because God knows when you playing.
Listen, I love that for you. I'm happy. I've never met your wife, but you've always spoken highly.
Yes, you have.
When?
You've definitely met her at them parties and stuff. You probably just don't remember. Absolutely.
I don't remember being formally introduced to your wife. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah. So she might have been there, but I've never. But you've always spoken highly. I've seen pictures of you guys together and so forth. I am super happy for you. I'm just saying, most men aren't really built like this.
More power to them. Like, whatever work. But the only thing I would tell them individuals, just be honest.
Yeah.
If you can do what you're doing honestly, salute. I promise you won't have no problems. But the ones that are lying and sneaking around and being manipulative, deceitful.
A lot of times it's not lying and sneaking around. A lot of times the women just are like, look.
If your woman don't know, you lying and sneaking around.
Your woman would know, but she doesn't know exactly.
Then you're lying.
She just doesn't know the faces. At the end of the day, I feel most women want someone who's stable and is able to support the family situation. Do you want a bum-ass man who, I remember I saw this post recently about like a situation about a woman's like, I'm going to file for divorce. My husband refused to get a job. He just does Uber, and I have a full-time job, and he was mad at me because I had to take some time off, and blah, 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 and I just can't take it anymore. You want a man like that who is going to be a bum, but is going to be 100% faithful? Or do you want a guy that puts you in a mansion and gets you a nice car and you don't really have to work. You work because you want to. But there are going to be some other girls floating around every so often. You know, you're going to keep them out your face. You're not going to meet them. You're not going to talk to them. You're not going to see pictures of y'all, you know, these people together. But which do you prefer? I think most women would prefer B. Most women would prefer B. Am I right?
Yeah, but
most women.
What's so interesting, man, I just have not seen, this is my own personal experience, I just haven't seen, you know, men do their wives dirty, cheat on them, lie to them, and things turn out well. Whether it was my pops, whether it was my uncles, I just never saw it. And I always hear them later on live with regret and tell me how much they regretted not doing right by their wives.
Because it depends how things worked out for them. Depends how things. Me personally, I feel that the concept of marriage in 2025 is just outdated.
Maybe, but I'm just.
The whole thing of signing, especially when you have money. Because even with a prenup, you'll go through hell. You may not,
I'll tell you what Kevin Lyles told me. Salute to Kevin Lyles. And I never forget this piece of advice. He told me this before I was married. This was like 2011, 2012. I wrote about this in my first book too. Kevin said to me, I can't tell you to get married, but I can tell you to find somebody that you can share your life experiences with. Because he said, Charlamagne, I know where you're going. I know where you're headed. Find somebody to share your life experiences with. And I already had that person. I already had that individual.
And maybe that's your wife. Maybe that's your girlfriend.
No, that's my wife.
Right? No, I'm talking in general though. No, in general.
Oh, I get you.
No, I'm not talking about you. No, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry, Mrs. Charlemagne. I'm not trying to.
Maybe that's your wife. Maybe that's your girlfriend.
No. That's not what I meant. No, I'm saying men in general. That might be someone they marry, or it may be their partner.
Yeah.
Right? Their life partner. For example, there's like, was it Seth Rogen and his wife? They don't want kids.
If you marry anybody other than your life partner, you're an idiot. I saw somebody say that recently. I was like a meme that was going around, and the meme said some shit like, you know, everybody has that one woman you love more than your wife. Huh? No. If that's the case, you need to divorce your wife and be with that other woman.
Right.
Like, that's wild to me. Like, no. But I want to.
Well, what they really are saying is there's always that one woman that you lust more than your wife. That's probably what the real meaning behind that is.
I can see that, maybe.
One person that will do all the shit that your wife doesn't want to do.
But why would you not do all the shit with your wife?
Because maybe your wife just doesn't want to do that shit.
Damn, how did you end up being your wife then?
Well, because maybe things change after you have kids. Maybe things change once she gets comfortable and gets in that position where she knows that going through a divorce is going to be such a hassle, and, you know, your kids could be used against you. You're going to lose custody and so forth. So she's like, fuck it, I ain't sucking dick no more.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you meet women who, you know, are one way at one point. Listen, I mean, it's like, you know, you're trying to get the job. You know, it's like going on a first date. You know, you meet the best version of that. But 3-4 years later, that's not the same person necessarily. That person's just putting on a show because they're trying to get something out of you, like a kid or a marriage or whatever else. Like, look, I feel
that's why it's good to find. Listen, man, I thank God every day. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I've been with my wife for 27 years. Like, to find somebody young and, you know, build a life with them, and like that person still, you know, be your best friend and the person that you want to spend majority of your time with, that is a blessing. And when I'm telling you, for anybody out there that's seeing Color Purple, remember when Celie pointed that finger? And Celie said, ain't no good gonna come to you until you do right by me. Mm-hmm. Do right by your woman to see what the fuck happened for your life.
I interviewed Dave Blunts recently. He wrote the Cousin song for Kanye.
Oh, that's when Kanye said he was sucking his cousin's dick, or his cousin was sucking his dick or some shit like that?
No, he was sucking his cousin's dick. I gave my cousin head is the chorus.
Sampling. And producers, man, and producers be sampling, Troy. I'm serious.
Semen sampling once again.
Damn. Them producers be sampling, boy.
The interesting part is I actually know some people that have known Kanye like forever. And I'm like, is he trolling or is this a real story? And they were all like, no, this is a real story. We've heard the story before. So not only is this pedophilia, I guess, because I guess the cousin was younger than him, but it's also...
How old was Kanye?
It was like, let me see. Hold on. How old was Kanye when he gave his cousin head?
Your search, the Vlad TV search history is crazy.
It doesn't really say. It doesn't really say, but it sounded like they were pretty young, and the cousin was younger.
How do we know the cousin was younger though?
Because I think he said it in the song.
I don't know. I never listened to that side. I had no desire to listen to a song about Kanye getting head from his cousin.
Yeah, I mean, hanging out with my cousin, reading dirty magazines. We seen two N-words kissing. We know what that mean. Then we start reenacting everything that we seen. That's when I gave my cousin head.
Yeah, but there's no convo about age in there. Like, how do we know they weren't the same age?
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was his younger cousin.
Yeah, they could have been just kids experimenting. I mean, I you know, here's the thing when I hear stuff like that. I'm glad he put it in music because I just feel like that it just reads crazy over tweets. If you're going to be that vulnerable, yeah, put it in a book. Put it in music. And what's the teachable moment? If you're going to tell me like that, what is the teachable moment in all of that?
So there are reports saying that the cousin was 9 and Kanye was 14, but there is some discrepancy about it. Like, they're not quite sure. Still incest. Still your cousin. It was pretty jarring when I heard it.
What, that he was sucking his cousin's dick?
Yes. Especially because
it was his cousin?
I mean, look, I don't know if you remember at one point, Beanie Siegel and Kanye were kind of going at it. And Beanie was like, yo, I don't know about this Kanye be wearing. He'd be looking whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I think like Kanye did like Smack DVD. He was like, yo, man, I heard that shit Beanie say. Like, yo, I ain't. You know, I'm not trying to have beef with Beanie and get a bunch of security, but, you know, I ain't. He was
I don't know if he is or not. These are some hell of accusations.
If you suck a dick, you're right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right? If you're sucking a dick, you're at the point the dick is in your mouth, you're not. Welcome to the world.
I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information. I felt the same way when I first heard it. When he tweeted that and he posted it, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this information, Kanye? Like, I don't, like, that's what I said. Can you make it a teachable moment? Like, is it in a book that leads to a larger point? Is it in a song that leads to a larger point? Like, why are you sharing this with the world? I don't know. And it's funny, I mean, that was months ago, and even you bringing it up to me now, I feel the exact same way. Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? I don't even know the conversation you would like to have right now, Vlad. Because everything you're saying is true.
No, listen.
Yes, it's incest.
Yeah, and look, I have spoken to, you know, some of the escorts. I mean, one of the escorts I interviewed said that he was actually called to do like a cuckold kind of session with Kanye and Bianca. Never happened, but there was another escort that I was talking to that actually said that he was doing them. So, listen, Kanye, between it and the cuckolding thing, like another celebrity man that's just way out there sexually.
I think the most f***ed up shit that, man, nobody's thinking about his cousin. His cousin's in fucking jail
I've
right
had
now.
conversations about that. Remember?
What if his cousin's in jail and people been trying to f*** him in jail this whole time and he ain't been giving up no cheeks? But they like, oh, word, you was out there sucking dick when you was free? But now that you in prison, you don't want to suck no dick?
Yeah, I said, imagine his cousin waking up in prison. You know, he's waking up, it's like a normal day, going down to the chow line, you know, getting some eggs. Everyone looking at me, huh?
Ain't you Kanye's cousin?
Because he's probably been bragging about being Kanye's cousin for years.
Nah, I wasn't talking. Nah, I'm not that cousin. That's
you're
that's
that
another cousin. Like that's the crazy. Everybody trying.
All his cousins are probably getting it right now.
Everybody trying to go down the family tree. That's what I'm saying.
You had a bad few weeks.
All the cousins pointing at each other like the Spider-Man meme. Like it was you, wasn't it? It was you. Nah, it was you. Like that shit is. That shit is wild,
the Spider-Man meme.
Kanye is another one who he saddens me.
Yeah.
Like I just. Do you realize that if Kanye West hadn't become who Kanye is now, he is by far, without question, the most influential, biggest, not even just hip-hop artist, by far hip-hop artist, but one of the most biggest and influential artists of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'm talking about Michael Jackson levels.
I agree.
Like, if he hadn't have went down the path he ended up going down, it's not even close. Kanye West had people walking around in Yeezys the way people were wearing Jordans. I saw Angel Reese recently post her sneaker, and she said, I want people to wear my Angel Reese's the way people were wearing Jordans.
Yeah, but
Kanye really had people doing that.
100%. Yeah.
Like,
he said the
really
Yeezy
had
jumped over
people-
the jump man. He had a point. I had a lot of Yeezys, but these days, no one gives a shit about Yeezys anymore, honestly.
But
in fact, like, for example, like there's a store called The Real Real, which you could sell like designer clothes to. And I remember I brought a whole batch of shit that I just no longer wear with some Yeezys, right? And then I went back again with some other Yeezys, and they're like, no, we don't take that anymore.
Vlad,
It's just a shoe that's just completely dead at this point.
And
not completely dead, but pretty dead.
And that goes back, to
when it was the hottest shit ever.
That goes back to the conversations we've been having about Diddy or Shannon Sharpe, any of these people, Harvey Weinstein, whoever they are. It is very important for your plane to land with the wheels out. It doesn't matter to have all of this success for all of these years and be flying high and just crash and burn. I don't never want to get to the point where I'm so high where I just stop dealing with reality and feel like I'm untouchable and, I can get away with anything. And you got a bunch of people around you, a bunch of yes people that are just, feeding whatever vice it is that you have. Like, there's no reason for Kanye to be in the situation that he's currently in. And listen, by the way, maybe he's happy. I don't know. Maybe he's happy. I'm just simply saying.
Look, for example, I know some people that, handle some of his bookings, and, people think I'm hating when I'm saying this, but this is an actual real conversation. Kanye can only get booked in these sort of kind of like remote countries now. Like, he can't do tours in Europe anymore. He's not even allowed in Australia because of the Hail Hitler song. You don't see him doing shows in America anymore. He's doing Korea, Hong Kong. Like, he's definitely limited because of his choices. Now, you could say, well, he's still rich, and I'm sure he stands on that, but Kanye cannot do a world tour anymore.
And that's not...
He will not get booked.
And
he will not... It's an impossibility at this very moment.
And Vlad, that's not freedom. If Kanye's whole sole purpose, right, according to him...
To be an entertainer.
Was freedom.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to be free. He didn't want to be controlled, None of that is freedom.
Yeah.
So what?
He can't enter. Like, his wife is Australian. He can't go visit her family. The Australian government said, we have enough racism in this country. We don't have to import anymore.
He actually put himself in more boxes and put himself, behind more bars with his antics than he did prior. You did all of that, fighting to, you said you wanted to be free, only to imprison yourself more. And listen, social media runs with all types of narratives as to why he did what he did. I want to hear that from him. I want to hear him tell us how he feels about the things that he's done. Because, he goes on these tangents where he'll put out these apologies and, say he's sorry.
Then he'll go back and do a Hail Hitler song.
Exactly. So it's just like...
he apologized to Jews, I think in Hebrew, then did a Hail Hitler song not too long after that.
And that's always my thing with things. I want to know the intention and I want to know the purpose. Like, when you ask me about, him sucking his cousin's dick, well, what was he trying to teach with that moment? And it's the same thing with this. I may not agree with the things that you say, but I agree with your right to say them because I believe in free speech. But what are you trying to get at? What is the teachable moment in any of this? What is the larger point of why you chose to do these things that you did? Why'd you wake up one morning and say, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? For what? What was the reason?
I think it's almost like performance art. It's like when you look at, I remember I had this interview with Nipsey that someone sent me.
Rest in peace, Nip.
Yeah, rest in peace. And he said something interesting. He said, when you look at all the greatest songs, they have one thing in common, and that's truth and honesty. Every great song, there's something about that song that you're like, oh, wow, there's a vulnerability, there's a truth behind what's happening here. And Kanye's learned over time by putting his own life into this music that he gets this great result. So look, he had a problem with certain Jewish people, right? I remember me and Academics talked about this, where it was like, he was like, yeah, this person, that caused these problems, he was Jewish, and this person was Jewish that caused these problems. So he did have a problem with certain Jewish people. So he's like, well, maybe this means that all Jewish people are like that. So I'm just going to like blurt it all out and see what happens, because usually when this happens, there's a bad result. But I'm just bigger than whatever. Maybe I'll get this legion of people that'll go behind me and follow me. And to a certain degree, he did. Once he did that, there were like signs around Calabasas. Kanye was right, and they had to get extra security at his kid's school and everything else like that. Yeah, anti-Semitism has been around forever. He fueled the flames of that.
He did get anti-Semitism popping.
Yeah.
He did.
He did. He got anti-Semitism popping.
He did.
And of course
he helped.
Yeah, and of course the whole war with Israel and Gaza.
Oh man, terrible time.
Didn't hurt that whole narrative and so forth, and so forth. But at the end of the day, I feel like for him, it's like his life is the art. It's not like he goes to a studio to make art and then goes back to his regular life. The fact that he parades his wife around naked, like it's all art. 24/7.
I just don't respect self-serving people, because when you are, generating the kind of money he was generating, he was doing something that I love to do, which is create jobs and provide opportunity. And when you are self-serving, and you allow your ego to cause you to crash and burn, and you ruin opportunities for other people, and you ruin paychecks for other people, that's hard for me to respect. That you're not a real leader, you're not a real general, you're not a real boss if all you think about is you. Because before you make those kind of statements, before you make those kind of comments, you know what's going to come with it, but you also know that it's not just going to be you that's impacted by that.
Yeah,
that's hard for me to respect.
Now, I think you're my only friend that got called out by President Trump. Remember I hit you about it. I'm like, yo.
I didn't know what you were talking about. I was like, what's up?
You know what I was talking about? Trump just did a whole tirade about you.
And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay.
Called you a low IQ individual who has no idea what words are coming out of your mouth and knows nothing about him or what he's done. Like ending 5 wars, going to a 31-year-old bloodbath between the Republic of Congo and Rwanda, where 7 million people have died. There's no end in sight. He didn't know that. Or India and Pakistan are wiping out Iran's nuclear capabilities, or closing the horrendous open border, or creating the greatest economy where prices and inflation have come way down. Prices have not come down.
No, they haven't.
Prices are crazy. Where stupid and corrupt Joe Biden set the record for doing the worst job as president ever. But this dope, Charlemagne, would vote for Sleepy Joe or Kamala. Remember, 1 year ago our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. MAGA! When you saw that, what'd you think? And by the way, did you expect that kind of results? Because you were on, was it Fox?
Yeah, I was on Fox with his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. She has a show called My View. I think it's called My View. Yeah. And no, I mean, I didn't, because it's not like I haven't been on Fox before. I've been on CNN, I've been on MSNBC, and I'm a person that's critical of both parties, because I'm not a Democrat or Republican, even though when people say that, that's ridiculous, because there's only 2 parties to vote for, right? But
although Elon Musk is talking about a third party,
he is. But and
it has happened in the past.
Yeah, and I'm the type of person, if I want America, why wouldn't I want America to thrive? Whoever's in the White House, I want them to, succeed and do what's best for the American people. Most importantly, the least of us. And people weren't happy with Joe Biden's economy, and people are not happy with Donald Trump's economy. So when Laura Trump asked me that, like, it's a simple thing for me. Like, no, I don't think he's been doing a good job, because the least of us are still out here hurting. You can go back to early in the year. I remember being in Maryland at my daughter's cheerleading competition, and the amount of people that were coming up to me telling me that they had just lost their job because of the cuts that Doge were making, or they were afraid that they were going to lose their job, was baffling to me. I'm like, oh shit, like it's a lot of people in Maryland that's going to be without work. So you couple that with the inflation still being high, the prices still being high, the tariffs, all of this shit is making it harder for people to make ends meet financially. So I don't respect that. And then, when you look at, everything that's going on as far as transparency, like we've been talking about, this whole conversation, they ran on saying they were going to be transparent about the Epstein files. And then all of a sudden, they weren't transparent about the Epstein files no more. So that made his base start to be like, wait a minute, you lied to us, which was the first time that you ever heard them say he lied about something. So I, talked about all of that, on Laura Trump's show. And I think it wasn't what I said, it was where I said it. It was the fact that I was on Fox News
With
talking to
family
his
member,
base with Laura Trump. And you know, if you go, you know, look at a lot of the comments after I did, you know, Laura Trump show, there was a lot of people that were watching the show saying, I agree with him. He's right. Like, he's not wrong about that. Because I'm not approaching it as some Democrat who hates, you know, Republicans. Like, I'm just an American citizen who wants whoever's in the White House to succeed on behalf of America. And if that's not happening, I'm gonna go to whatever platform and I'm gonna express that opinion. And I think it was, like I said, I think it was about the when and the who. The fact I'm talking to his daughter-in-law and I'm on Fox, that's what pissed him off.
Well, look, we all get hate mail. We all get death threats and everything else like that. Was it like on steroids after Trump responded?
Vlad, I don't pay that shit no attention. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, and my team, they don't even bring shit like that to me.
You don't check your DMs or anything?
No.
Oh.
They don't bring that shit to me unless it's like something they're really concerned about.
Credible threat?
Yes, a credible threat. Now, after Donald Trump said what he said, everybody around me was on high alert.
Yeah.
Because they just felt like, oh man, he's dog whistling for something to happen to you. He's calling you a racist sleazebag. Like, sleazebag, okay. You might, there's plenty of times in my life you can look to and say, you know what, he is a sleazebag. Racist? Come on, Donald. Like, come on, you gotta do better than that.
Can black people be racist?
Can black people be racist? Yeah.
This is always an interesting conversation.
Yes.
I agree.
Black people can be racist.
I agree.
Yes, black people can be racist. Like, because I think sometimes when we think race, we think black and white people. It's not even always that. Like, black people can be racist to any other marginalized community. Like, maybe prejudice is the better word. Not racist, prejudice.
Prejudice, bigoted?
Bigoted. Black people can be prejudiced, black people can be bigoted.
Yeah, I mean, recently...
I don't know if I'll say that. Not racist, prejudice, bigoted.
Yeah, like recently I did an interview with Eskino and I spoke about sort of this thing that's been brewing on social media between foundational black Americans and, like African and Caribbean black people and so forth. And I chimed in on that. A lot of people were mad over kind of some of the takes that I took. So in fact, Tariq Nasheed is going to come on my show in a couple of days. We're going to talk about it because he's like the biggest FBA, guy that I know, that I'm cool with. But what I was talking about, which kind of disappointed me, was there was like a American black woman that was calling for a boycott of African braiding shops because, she feels that they are not, they're somewhat abusive and not very nice to black people, to American black people. And so she called for a total boycott of any store owned by Africans. You see what I'm saying? And that to me just sort of bothered me, but I am white. I don't really know the entire nuance of everything. But then again, I have mixed children. So I'm speaking, from that point of view of I don't want my kids growing up, not liking non-American black people. I want them to have Jamaican friends and, African friends, Caribbean friends and so forth. I mean, when you see that type of thing happen as a black person, what do you think?
I think it's ridiculous. And the reason I think it's ridiculous because if me and an African or me and a Caribbean person is walking down the street and we're melanated, in this country, they're not going to look and say, oh, that's a Jamaican, that's a foundational black American, and that's a, what did I say? What was that when I said African?
Yeah.
They're just going to say, those are three niggas. So it's like when you look at it from that mindset, man, we all need to be trying to figure out how to have unity and group operation. Like, we should.
That was my point.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's my...
because then, like, I remember I was talking to Willie D the other night, he goes, oh, yeah, it's like, we've seen that in our community, but then there's also, like, but he said, you see a lot of situations where Africans kind of look down on black Americans, even though black Americans have worked to kind of get, the overall black community to a certain point and so forth. So the disrespect kind of goes both ways. And I just don't like all of it from both sides. From both sides, I don't like it. Because at the end of the day, what do you gain by beefing with people who look like you?
Hey, listen, once again, when you're talking about white supremacy does not care. White supremacy just sees you as a melanated person here in this country.
Right.
And they are going to treat you accordingly. So we can spend time, beefing amongst each other, but we're not each other's enemy. The real enemy is the people that are trying to oppress people of color all around the world. That's who we should be coming together to, boycott. That's who we should be coming together to take a stand against. The whole beefing with each other it doesn't make any sense to me, especially when I'm not gonna say we all know, because I do feel like there's a lot of black people that were indigenous to America already. When you even look at a lot of pictures of Native Americans, they have like a lot of African American features. You go where I'm from in South Carolina, Geechee, Gullah, heritage, culture. Like, I feel like a lot of us were already here. But, also in South Carolina, we have this pier called Gadsden's Wharf. That's where the International African American Museum is built. I'm on the board of the International African American Museum.
Nice.
Damn near half of all slaves from West Africa came through that port. So I'm saying all that to say we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, I don't look at people who came from Africa as being different from me, because whether you were indigenous to this land or you can trace your ancestry like I can back to West Africa, it's too many of us that are linked to the motherland. Africa is the birthplace of civilization, period. So I'm not gonna ever look at them and be like, oh, they not one of us. And they shouldn't look at us and be like they not one of them. Because when they make the decision to bring their asses to America, trust me, white supremacy is looking at them just like they looking at my foundational black ass. So I just think unity and group operation is the way to go. I don't think we gain anything from having that kind of infighting amongst each other.
That's what it is. Charlemagne, after 2 years, man, thank you for coming back.
Yes.
You just had to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And like I've done with a few of my other guests, we're about to switch positions and you're about to interview me.
Absolutely. I do want to add one thing, though, just about the media conversation. Mm-hmm. I want to say that I'm happy for Joe Budden.
Yeah, me too.
I'm looking at all the success, because you said that earlier, and that's true. I'm happy that, he figured it out. He figured it out, and he's doing things on his own terms. And I'm genuinely happy for him, you know. And also, I want to salute the academics, because Ak is a guy who, people may not know. Ak's first interview ever.
It's Breakfast Club.
No, it was with me. He was in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he was doing college radio, and he came to Power 105.1 to interview me. And so, I mean, that's on YouTube somewhere. So it's me and Ak. I don't know if people know that, but me and Ak talk. Like, we.
Yeah, that's my man.
We catch up. Like, what I'm saying? Like, we may go a while without talking, but we always end up getting on the phone and catching up and having conversations. So I just think,
Ak, man.
Yeah, I think that's something people don't know.
Yeah. And
so they always trying to act like there's this beef and create these issues, and it's just like, nah. If these are people that I've known for a super duper long time, and like I said, me and Ak end up catching up. Me and Joe haven't caught up in years, but me and Ak end up catching up.
Dope.
Yeah. Vlad, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but a lot of rappers say you set them up with police-style questions. Do you think your interview style has crossed the line between journalism and interrogation?
I mean, I get accused of this all the time. At the end of the day, I think I'm very careful about the type of questions that I ask. I've turned down interviews with people that have open cases.
Really?
Yeah, like Draco the Ruler. He wanted to do an interview with me when he was still facing his murder case. And I told his manager, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, when he gets out, I got him. And when he got out, I did the interview. Now, unfortunately, he passed tragically later on. But yeah, I've turned down a lot of interviews. I've cut stuff out of interviews. I mean, the only time I ever talked to someone about an open case where we're actually talking about details about the open case, that was Keefe D. Keefe D had already written a book, and I'm referencing the book. For example, I just did Boosie. Now, Boosie, we talked about his gun case, but he's already pled guilty. He's already pled guilty. Yeah. And we made sure that he spoke highly about the judge and everything else like that, because he still has to be sentenced. But I'm very careful about that. Now, at the end of the day, when I first got into it back in 2008, nobody was doing this. We were the first hip-hop YouTube channel that's still around in any kind of sizable capacity these days. But nobody was asking these types of tough questions. All you really had was radio interviews, which was very softball at the time. Shout out to everyone who came before me, but they weren't doing what I'm doing. These days, it's a lot more common to do what I do. Like, you see the No Jumpers of the world that go even farther than what I do. But no, I don't think it does cross the line. I think I'm very careful. And the only person I've ever heard about that actually had my interview involved in his case, and the case hasn't even happened yet, was Keefe D. So at the end of the day, how can you say that, and where's the proof?
Do you think you get credit for your journalism?
These days, I do. I do. Like when I walk around now.
A lot of people think you have a brand, you've made a brand off just people incriminating themselves.
No.
But to me, it's journalism. You're just asking questions.
Listen, some of my greatest interviews are not even about that. Interviews with Smokey Robinson, interviews with Shaka Khan. Like, at the end of the day, I'm very hip-hop based. Like, the foundation of what I do is hip-hop. But hip-hop encompasses a lot of other stuff. It encompasses fashion. It encompasses crime. It encompasses acting. It encompasses sports. So I try to kind of get everything. And as far as, as I try to. But at the end of the day, hip-hop is the basis of what I do.
You've been accused of exploiting black culture for profit. How do you respond to people who call you a culture vulture?
I think every white person gets called a culture vulture in hip-hop, including Eminem, including Leo Cohen, including Steve Rifkin, including everybody. So to me, it's just another thing to say. But I think when people really know who I am, like you know who I am, and know about my family, and know about what I'm like off camera, I don't think anyone would actually say that.
Do you think you'd have the same platform if you were black?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Because you've seen so many black people come after me with similar types of platforms that have done great. Look at Sean Cotton, look at Gillian Wallow, look at Nori. Now, they don't do exactly what I do, but I think it's overall in the same vein. We talk to a lot of the same people. We ask some of the same questions.
Do you think your interviews contribute to hip-hop history, or do you think you're documenting trauma for clicks?
I think it's history. I think it's history, but at the end of the day, who doesn't have trauma? Who doesn't have trauma in their life? Name one person who's had a life devoid of trauma.
It's
nobody.
Impossible. Yeah.
You, me, my cameraman, your security, we've all had traumatic experiences. And at the end of the day, sharing those traumatic experiences is something that we do in our regular lives anyways. Now, have I ever ambushed somebody? Like for example, like I was talking about, with D. Ray Davis, right? A friend of mine. And there was an interview where he talked about being molested by these horrible looking 30-year-olds, right? And I kind of laughed based on the way that he was describing the story. But me and him have a real friendship.
And he's also a comedian.
He's
so
also a comedian, so he's saying it in a comedic style. But people hated me over my reaction or even bringing this up. But at the end of the day, this is his truth. This is something, that he's talked about before, and he didn't have a problem with it. But other people have more of a problem than the actual people that I'm interviewing. And that's okay.
Some people might say you had somebody ambushed, though.
Who?
Remember when Tariq Nasheed walked in on, what was the dude's name? I can't remember his name.
Tommy Sotomayor.
Tommy Sotomayor.
We've talked about this. And Tariq is coming back on my show. I've talked to both him and Tommy about it. Now, Tommy still thinks there's some weird conspiracy theory about it, but I did not have him ambushed. What had happened was I interviewed Tariq, and then people in the comments were like, oh, you should interview Tommy. I had no idea there was a beef between these two. It wasn't in my notes. Like, I think after I interviewed Tariq, I released the whole Tommy interview. You got to see the whole interview. Tommy was the one that was mentioning Tariq. And when he mentioned it, I just went on to the next topic. It wasn't even a talking point. Now, the thing is that Tommy was doing an interview at the same location that Tariq was doing it, and Tommy was on social media saying, I'm about to do Vlad TV today. I just drove down, about to do Vlad TV, go down to the Vlad TV studios. Now, Tariq is watching this, and Tommy, I think, had talked some shit about his daughter or something like that. So, Tariq took it upon himself to confront him, unfortunately, in the actual interview as opposed to waiting outside for him, and that's what happened. But I did not plan for Tariq to come there. And in fact, me and Tariq really had beef for years over that situation. Does that sound like a setup? Yeah, no, me and him just recently, because here's the thing, like, I didn't realize, I saw an interview where basically Tariq said, oh, Vlad knew my beef with Tommy and he purposely brought him in to aggravate the situation. And I'm like, oh, that's what he thought? So I got on the phone with him, we had a conversation. I said, I had no idea you guys had beef. I'm gonna release the interview and you'll see for yourself. I never even brought your name up. He knew that Tommy was coming. It was the same studio. Tariq showed up. Nothing happened. There was no fight. It was just a bunch of grown men arguing in each other's faces. I think Tariq brought him like a Coon Award or something, like a Coon Train Award or something, which, Tommy,
I remember that. Yeah,
Tommy left that. But no, I absolutely did not set him up. And the only person who's claiming that is Tommy, which at the end of the day is just false. I've always said this, and I have the proof to show for it.
Would you ever pull an interview if you thought it might like hurt somebody's life?
Would I pull it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you done that?
I haven't had a reason to at this point. No.
You built the platform.
But hold on, but let me just answer that question. I have had people do interviews and afterwards say, can you take this part out? And I've always said yes. Always said yes, especially if the interview hasn't come out yet.
So content isn't king for you?
No, because it's long term. Like one clip doesn't change things. Like for example, like I'm not going to say who, but there is a well-known Atlanta artist. When we did the interview, he appeared like he was just high out of his mind. Like he did the interview, he was sweating, he was like nodding off. It was a mess. It was like an absolute mess. And after about 20 minutes, his people were like, hey, interview's just not gonna happen today. Is that okay? I'm like, that's cool, we got you. We redid the interview at a later point, but I never released that first interview, even though it would have gone super viral, because here's this known Atlanta artist literally sweating in an air-conditioned room, barely able to get his words out. It would have gone super viral, but I never put it out. And he even was like worried about that, and when I talked to him, I said, I got you, I'm not gonna put it out. And I never put it out. No one will ever see it. So this is me.
If you had to admit one time where you crossed the line for views, what moment would it be? Because we've all been there.
I mean, look, the whole Joe Budden ransom situation, when I posted the video of that guy getting smacked, by ransoms people on his front porch, I think that kind of crossed the line. This was very early in my career. This is kind of like one of the first like hip hop viral moments, and kind of caused a rift between me and Joe Budden, because I'd interviewed Joe not too long before that. At the end of the day, the dude that got slapped wasn't even Joe Budden. It was like a friend of his and so forth. And I think in that case, I probably would have looked at that, like the 2025 Vlad, the 52-year-old Vlad would have looked at that and said, nah, I'm not going to put that out. Like for example, like Taxstone, right? During his trial, he wanted to do an interview because he's like, look, the jury is told not to watch the media, but they watch the media.
Absolutely.
Right? And doing an interview would be a way to get his story out without taking the stand. But from my point of view, I said, you're probably right, but this interview was probably going to be used in the trial. And if you got convicted and I knew I had a part in it, it would break my heart. So I just told him I'm not going to do the interview. And I remember Tax felt a certain type of way about it. He wasn't mad, but you could tell he wasn't happy with my results. I said, listen, if you want to do it with someone else, I got, that's your choice. But me personally, I know it'll get a lot of views. We're in the middle of a murder trial. Everyone's covering it. I know it'll get a lot of views, but meaning that you're my friend, I just don't want to do it. And I never did it.
You built a platform asking everybody tough questions. What's the one question you hope nobody ever asks you?
I mean, I've always avoided the family questions. As you know, when I go do interviews with you, because I feel like in my life, my personal relationships, like that's just not for the media. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it always like baffles me how you see like the Cardi B's of the world, or the what's the girl from Detroit who was dating the football player recently?
Cash Doll.
Cash Doll. There we go. I remember the Cash Bar. Yeah, like Cash Doll, where it's like, hey, everybody, here's my new relationship with another celebrity. Look at us going out on a date. Oh, look, we're having so much fun. Oh, it didn't work out. We'd like to announce that now we're breaking up. We'd like to have privacy, but you're not going to get any damn privacy. Is that? And this is like anyone I've ever dealt with, I've always said, like, if you're looking to turn this into like a clout chasing PR moment, it's not going to happen. We're not going to do it. We're not filming together. We're not doing TikToks together. We're not doing this. If you're messing with me, you're messing with me. And this is our personal life, but you're not going to turn this into promo. And that's always been my thing. I've always just kept that separately.
I got two more questions. What's more important to you, truth, clout, or control of the narrative?
Truth. Truth. You know me forever. Have I really been a clout chaser?
No, not. But here's the thing. No, not. You're not a clout chaser.
Yeah.
But you just, for whatever reason, you created a platform that people like to come up here and spill their guts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I know how to ask questions. I know how to tell, have a person tell their story. Like people think, what do you do? It's not a big deal. You just ask people questions. No, you're controlling the story.
Absolutely.
I'm creating, especially with someone for the first time, I'm doing a life story piece on them. Like I'm telling the story from beginning to end. And during the time, they're like, shit, how did you even know that? Like, because we research and so forth. So yeah, I've never really chased clout. Although I put out some tweets every so often that I know is going to get under people's skin. Controlling the narrative. Listen, we all try to do our best, but I realize it's out of our control. So stuff will come out, and it is what it is. So really, I think the truth is the most important part.
Oh, I got 2 more questions. You made me think of something. Are you, do you regret at all becoming more of a personality? With the tweets?
No.
Talking more during the conversations?
No, I think it's just a natural progression.
Okay.
I think it's a natural progression. I mean, in the beginning, I like being behind the camera. I like being more kind of behind the scenes. But over time, it's not like I've ever hidden who I am. Just like, I talk about art from Art Dialogue, or Cam Capone, who've never really been on camera. They don't take pictures with their guests and stuff like that. Like, I've always done pictures with my guests. I've been doing Breakfast Club since there was a Breakfast Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, I do Pierce Morgan. I do big, high-profile interviews. Like, people who know me at all usually know what I look like. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of... over time, I think I've done a little bit more of it because I think that there are advantages to it. There are some disadvantages as well, but I think the advantages kind of outweigh the disadvantages. So yeah, I don't mind that at all.
My final question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about artists who say going on Vlad TV is basically career suicide?
When has that been the case? Name me one artist that ultimately didn't benefit from being on Vlad TV. I mean, we've made whole careers for... artists, comedians, and so forth. People have started podcasts after being on Vlad TV. Talked to Tony Yayo. He said everywhere he goes, because he tours internationally a lot with 50 Cent, he said everywhere he goes, Vlad TV, I love you on Vlad TV, I love you. No offense to the other platforms that he does, but everyone always mentions Vlad TV. It's not career suicide on any level.
They feel like that because of the perception that if you do a Vlad TV interview and you incriminate yourself, you're going to end up in jail.
Right, but then again, all the people that have accused me, the social media, has accused me of certain people going to jail because of my interviews. When you talk to the actual people, they'll say that my Vlad TV interview had nothing to do with my case. Talk to Taxstone, who I've been accused of. He'll say nothing to do with this case. Talk to Casanova 2 times. Once again, nothing to do with this case. Arab, that's one person that people, it's definitely Arab. Arab himself has said nothing to do with the case. He has snitches in his camp. One particular snitch that told on everybody. The stuff that he talked about wasn't even included in his case. He was convicted of something completely different, stuff that him and I have never talked about. Who else? Who else went to jail? Sue Surf went to jail. Nothing that had to do with Vlad TV interview had anything to do with this.
That's a lot,
We keep going. What's that?
That's a lot, though. Has the FBI agent ever said to you, man, you my favorite platform?
No. But for example, I've talked about this before. At one point, Jimmy Henchman did an interview on Vlad TV, and he talked about a few things about his case, and he called me the next day, asked me to take it down. I said, no problem, I took it down. The FBI called me like maybe 6 months later, and they wanted a copy of the original interview, and I refused. I had to spend $10,000 on a lawyer fighting them not to give them the original footage, which they eventually didn't get. Now, he had a retrial, and he lost, but nothing of mine was ever used, because I actually try to protect the people that go on my show to the best of my ability. Even Keefe D, Las Vegas PD kept sending me call after voicemail after text message, yo, we need this footage, I've never responded. I have never responded, not once. Now, they could try to get it. Now, I don't know when the trial is happening or whatever else, but I will fight for my guests as much as humanly possible. To the point, because I remember when the feds were, talked to me about Jimmy Henchman, they were like, well, if you don't cooperate, we'll put you on the stand. Then put me on the stand. I don't care. I'm going to be a hostile witness.
Yeah, what could you say?
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't quite remember. I'm getting older. I smoke a lot of weed. You know what I mean? You can't make me remember. But at the end of the day, I will fight for my guests. The one thing that I will not do is have someone come on my show and then I turn around and work with the police to try to bust that person. That will never, ever, ever happen.
Vlad TV, man.
Yeah.
That's all I got, brother.
All right. Until next time. Peace.